live. We're live. We're live. Don't say anything.
Okay.
Shh.
Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Macky from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Billy Bonds.
Hello from Cornwall. Yeah, that's about it really this week. Hello
Okay,
from Cornwall.
just a short one this week. Okay.
Yeah.
We also have Margaret.
Yes, hello from a rainy Ontario, Canada. Very dull and dreary.
Boo. You were mentioning, was it last week you were mentioning the whole SADS, the seasonal affective
Seasonal
adjustment?
affective disorder, yeah.
Yeah. And now
Yeah,
it sounds
it's
like it's
real.
really got you now. It's got you in its grips.
Well, it's 4 o'clock right now, my time, and it's going to be dark in about 45 minutes. So,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah, what time does it
Yeah.
get dark over there now?
like 5-ish.
Yeah,
It'll
same
be
for
dark.
us here. It's terrible.
Sad,
Gosh.
depressing.
Shout out to all of those folk out there who are also suffering with early nights and cold weather.
Living in the dark.
Yeah. And then there's the Australian guys that are just heading into summertime and suffering with long days and boiling temperatures.
Hot sunshine.
That's right.
That sounds nice.
It does. You look out the window and it's just dreary for the next 6 months. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really do hate it. I really do hate this time of year. But like you say, you just keep your head down, get through it. It'll be all good by May probably. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
May's
get
when
some
it
nice
starts to
weather.
look up again.
It's
It's so
God,
far away.
sorry for depressing you all, everybody. Yeah. Anybody listening from the start of the show feels sad now? Apologies, everybody. Hit that like button. Hit that like button if you like the sunshine.
That'll cheer you up.
Indeed.
Hit that like button
Indeed.
for good cheer.
Yes, do I need to turn my microphone up? I don't think it's usually fine. I don't adjust the levels. Is it a little low? What
You
do you
do
guys
seem
think?
a little quieter today to
Okay,
me.
okay.
Not
Let
a
me bring it
lot,
up.
but just a little.
Maybe I'm just not speaking into the microphone. My chair's a little bit more to the right than usual. Let me push this over
No.
this way. There we go. Now I can speak into the microphone properly.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Gosh,
better.
you expect so much of us, Mad Dog. Gosh.
Well, like it's an audio program, so
You're starting to sound like me now, Margaret.
you just need to have one thing going, which is the audio.
That's it. We only have to get that right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's sorted now.
Yeah.
People are you were a little quiet. Yeah, I think that should be okay now. Maybe it's Zoom again, because Zoom randomly just like proper professional matter can't hear. Yeah, but lots of people complaining about it. It must have been Zoom. Let me just check this shit out over here before we move forward. Zoom fucking. Look at it. Look, see how much difference this made now, everybody? Because Zoom, for some reason, I don't ask it to, just randomly, sometimes Zoom would be like, oh, your microphone is a bit louder. Let me turn it down for you. And it was like 3/4 down, like near bottom. What the fuck? I didn't ask it to do that.
What does Zoom know anyway?
You know what I mean? Zoom, shut up, man. You don't know anything fucking.
Fucking
like you're
AI.
smart and shit. You just a microphone recorder. Stop being a fucking. Sorry about that, everybody. I think we're back to normal now. Thanks for pointing that out. Except for you, Mad Dog. Gosh, you're the one who started all this.
I reckon Zoom's had enough of your fucking rants, mate. Like, turn that cunt down, mate.
That's what it is.
No
And
one
now I'm
wants that
sitting right in
shit.
front of the microphone, so I'm probably extra loud.
Probably shouting at everyone and going like, ah.
Gosh. Yeah, so we're back to full professionalism now, everybody. Thank you for your patience there.
Full professionalism. Yeah.
That's right. We got some news stories to. No, I've fixed that. We should try and say something that can edit all that shit out, so it sounds professional and shit. Yeah. So yes, we have the cannabis news and events today, as we always do, and in the grow guides, we're going to be talking about bud rot. Because if you are following the guides from start to finish, then you're looking about getting to some nice juicy flowers right now. And we want to be able to explain how to look out for bud rot and how to avoid it, so you can make sure you don't get any on your plants, hopefully. So that's what we're going to be covering in Grow Guides. But for the news, let's have a look at some of these news stories. We've got 5 news stories to cover today. And some of those, this fucking Zoom thing's pissing me off. Move. Right, so for the news, we have 5 news stories. We have some discussions to have about the recent US election, which is now over, and we can hopefully start heading towards normality once again, because that election cycle was a little bit crazy. but we'll see what happens. So for the first article, we have what Trump's win means for cannabis, and we're going to take a look at some predictions throughout the states that people will think are going to happen now Trump has won the presidency. We also have the results on the 4 states. Remember, we mentioned last week that there's 4 states that are going to have cannabis on the ballot, and obviously that's all done now. So we're going to discuss the results of that as well. Some changes in the hemp license rules are going on in the UK to try and get more people growing hemp. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. You know, it pisses me off, man. We won't get into that yet. Cannabis can help some people, but not everyone, sleep. Okay? Because one of the reasons I started smoking cannabis way back in the day was to help me sleep, because I've never been a great sleeper. And I'm sure that is the same for many people as well. They use cannabis to help them sleep. Yeah, I'm sure it helps a lot of people, but I suppose if you're smoking sativa or something, or don't have that kind of chemistry, then it doesn't help you. So we'll discuss what's going on there as well. We also have one more here about what percentage of Americans smoke cannabis. So we're taking a final look at those details too. Nice, right? Yeah, some good articles there to be covering. Lots about the USA today. It's going to be interesting. Well, what's been going on anybody done anything interesting this week? You done anything interesting this week, Margaret?
Am I doing anything interesting this coming week?
Have you done anything or got anything interesting coming up? Whatever.
No, I don't think so. I mean, no. Like nothing. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a blur.
Yeah, just looking out the window, you just thinking, I don't care if we've got plans this week. I'm not going out.
That's right. Oh, the desire to hibernate gets real strong. It really does.
For real.
Any Canadians in the chat could probably appreciate that.
Man, I'm in the UK. It's considerably far south, and we got a better Gulf Stream than you, so we stay warmer. But still, God damn, I want to hibernate. I don't want to go out there. Oh.
I know, out there. It's scary out there.
Yeah, it's dark, it's cold. It's the UK, you know. What are you saying, Billy? You been up to much? You got anything planned? What's the score?
Yeah, I went to the shop this week and heard Christmas music. Real horrible,
That's even more
bad,
reason not to go outside.
dreadful Christmas music, man. Yeah, so
man.
that's it for me. I'm gonna have to start taking earphones or something or start breaking speakers or something. I don't know, but like Christmas music's playing now everywhere. But like really bad stuff. Like it wasn't even Mariah Carey bad. It was like sort of like elevator type style music bad. That's how bad it was. Yeah.
Horrible.
You've really ruined the day now, Billy. That's it.
Yeah, totally. That's what I thought. I thought to start on a nice note there, yeah.
This hasn't been one of our most uplifting intros, I'll tell you that.
No, but at least the news might be better this week. So instead of the news making
we're bringing it right down at the start so you feel better about the news instead of the last week.
Yeah, exactly.
We brought it really up, and then last week's news was fucked, you know?
Exactly.
Damn. Improper Weed Viking says, "Are you kidding? Exodus music is a bomb. Time to get the tree out." Gosh. Oh my gosh. My mother already has her Christmas tree up. I went round the other day and I saw it. I'm like, "What's that in the corner there?" She's like, "It's a Christmas tree." I'm like, "Yeah. What's it fucking doing there?"
I appreciate a good Christmas tree. I know it's controversial, but hear me out. The Christmas tree has lights on it, and when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, I like some sparkle in my life. Okay. I can appreciate a Christmas tree up early. Christmas lights, because otherwise it's so dull and dreary this time of year. You need something to brighten it up.
Yeah, it's not like I don't mind a nice Christmas tree, but in December, I like a nice Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in December, no other month.
That's right.
Yeah.
And maybe even halfway through December. No, we won't even get into this, right?
December
what are we smoking on? Let's do something else. Let's not do this Christmas thing. Gosh. Yeah, what are we smoking on today? What you got, Billy? You got anything nice?
I have, in fact, this week I have something special. I have something called WTF.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one for a while. God damn.
I do. I have some what the fuck from Percy's Grow Room. Yeah.
Old school shit. Old school nowadays. That has been out for a long time. Damn.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I grew some and it's finally cured and dried. I'm smoking some. I've also got some red lead puck and crossed with number 8.
Nice.
Or is it Killer Skunk and Cherry Palms? Can't remember, but one of Chilbert's strains, and it's really nice.
I've heard lots about
It's
that
very
red
got
lead
very
pup.
thick fog.
Mm.
It's got a very thick fog to it. I think it's the red lead pup times number 8. Actually, I'm smoking,
Get a bit complex
and
there.
and the other one's a killer skunk times cherry palms as well.
What you got, Margaret? You got something nice?
Yeah, I got some rotten fruit Rami today in my vaporizer, and I do have some edibles, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what edibles? Is it some gummies or is it some of those nice hot cookies out the oven?
No, I made some, what are they called? Scotcheroos today? Scotcheroo, I think they're called.
Oh, I don't know what that
Yeah.
is.
It's like a lot chocolate and peanut butter and honey and all kinds of
Right.
goodness.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good. That sounds good. Like
Yeah.
What
Reese's
makes it
cups or something?
Scotch?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like you use Rice Krispie squares on the bottom, you know. Then
Okay.
you
And
pour the, yeah. You don't have to bake them, but
Oof,
yeah.
that sounds really sugary. God damn.
It is, yeah.
that
You
sounds
can't
like a
eat too many.
diabetes overload. That does.
But
Mm-mm.
that's why you infuse them, so you can only eat like one or two.
Nice plan.
That's
Needs to go on
the
a
plan,
diet.
yeah.
Infuse your food.
That's right.
You eat
Infuse
less.
everything. So you
Yeah,
can't
this
eat
isn't my
anything.
first rodeo. I know.
Shit, genius. Marge's diet plan.
That's right.
Just
Well, I have a
infuse
sweet tooth,
everything.
so I
Damn,
have to. Yeah.
funny. Yes, very cool. So, are we ready to move on to the news already? I think we're good to go. I don't think there's anything else to add here, right?
No.
Could add
Okay.
some hash.
Add
Sorry.
some hash. Yes.
Add some hash.
Damn, that would finish me off. That would, bro. That would finish me off. Yeah. So let's do it. Let's go on to the news. I hope we got everything correct today. Let's do it. So I think it's safe to say we'll begin with just the most controversial news, where we talk about Trump, because he's a divisive figure, as we say. This one is what Trump's win means for cannabis. And we have a poll in the chat there. Let's see what we're on right now with this poll. It's 50-50 pretty much, where I've asked, will Trump legalize cannabis federally? And yeah, it's 51% yes, 49% no. That's what we're on so far. So let us know what you think as well in the comments. If you listen to the show afterwards, let us know what you think. Do you think Trump is going to legalize cannabis federally, or was it just bullshit? Was it just politician talk? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens from here. So let's have a read through some of this. Let me get it up on the screen because it's being a knob as it usually is. There we go. Now we can do it. Right, so we have, this is from marijuanamoments.net. We have KY voters, I think that's Kentucky, approve medical cannabis. DOJ funds hemp and cannabis research, study, and cannabis for opiate harm reduction.
Are you sure they're not the jelly voters?
What do you mean?
The KY jelly voters.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. I knew there was a joke in there somewhere, I just wasn't getting it. Yeah, very nice, Billy. Ha 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 ha.
If the KY, you might get it.
Gosh, terrible. Donald Trump's election as president could have vast implications for cannabis reform. He has voiced support from cannabis industry access to the banking system and the federal rescheduling process initiated by the Biden administration, but questions remain about whether he will follow through or be able to get Republican members of Congress on board with the reforms. Yeah, that's an interesting point there, because it's Congress who has to pass it as well, right? So the president passes it on to Congress and then they have to do it. So there's a lot more to it than just the president doing it. Kentucky voters in 106 municipalities and counties decided on local ballot measures to allow medical cannabis businesses to operate on Tuesday. Only Tuesdays. And every single one was approved. The Department of Justice's National Institute of Justice has awarded 2 grants to fund research into hemp, cannabis, and process to differentiate the 2 forms of the cannabis plant from one another. Okay, so what does that mean?
I don't know.
Just putting
One's
money
high
into research
THC,
so
one's low THC, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
it.
they
Yeah,
know
the
there's no
studies have already
difference.
been done, right? What you need
Yeah.
to give money? Must have a friend. Must have a friend
Yeah.
who needs to do some studies, and it's like, oh, here you go. Here's the money you need for that trial. Yeah, whatever. The answer's already out there, but you know they're gonna. We'll carry on. It might answer it in the article. But we have a new scientific review concludes that cannabis has a great deal of potential for opioid-related harm reduction and substitute therapies, and that cannabis has better side effect profile and less severe long-term health effects than opioids. You start with a D. He's got opiates this time. I suppose you can use either one, right? The proven efficacy of cannabis in pain management and cancer, coupled with its other uses / benefits and rather safe side effects profile, make it an excellent candidate for further exploration in substitute addiction research. This article isn't great read. I don't know why it's got a slash there before federal and states. You know, it's like the subheadings have all got slashes before them. I have no idea why. But / federal. Republican Seth Moulton, D-MA, posted a video ahead of the election urging Massachusetts voters to approve a psychedelics legislation initiative that ultimately failed. So that one didn't go through. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, so that's a Republican, tweeted, "I've never met anyone who got smarter by smoking dope." South Dakotans, it's unusual for Republicans to talk that way. Yeah, there's a big lump of sarcasm in there, everybody. South Dakotans agreed with me again tonight and voted down radical marijuana policy. California voters,
marijuana.
radical marijuana policy. You know, and it's probably just like letting people grow 2 plants or something. You know, she's saying things like, I've never met anybody who got smarter by smoking dope. Nobody ever said it was a fucking mind-enhancing fucking drug or anything. You know, nobody ever said. I've never met anybody who got smarter from drinking water, but people still drink water. What the fuck? Gosh. Yeah. You know, I know plenty of dumb people who don't smoke weed. One of those people is Kristi Noem, who's a Republican from South Dakota. Fuck you. Sorry, I'm not gonna go too ranty on that stupid motherfucker. It's just ignorance. You know, we expect better from people who are in positions of power and in government who make legislation. They should be properly informed and know what's going on and not spout bullshit like that. But anyway, California voters approved a ballot measure to increase penalties for certain drug and other crimes. Oregon regulators published a bulletin on renewal of cannabis licensing with pending change requests. Massachusetts regulators will hold a public listening session on cannabis testing laboratory issues on Thursday. The Mississippi Cannabis Legislative Advisory Board will meet on Thursday. The New York Cannabis Control Board will meet on Tuesday. So all these places are obviously going to have a meeting and discuss cannabis. Yeah, very interesting. There's your big ad there for marijuana moment. We'll skip that. We got local voters in South Michigan municipalities decided on ballot questions on whether to allow marijuana businesses to operate. Colorado Springs, Colorado voters appeared to approve competing ballot measures on whether to allow recreational cannabis sales. Oakland, California's Cannabis Regulatory Commission will meet on Thursday. So there's still lots more to come out with all of these different places. Like, you know, the elections happened. They're going to tally up the votes, and then they're going to make decisions accordingly at these meetings, which they're going to have throughout the next couple of weeks by the look of things. For international, it says the Philippine Justice Secretary created a task force to investigate killings in the nation's bloody war on drugs. So maybe the USA is going to say something to those guys over in the Philippines or, you know, Singapore, because they have some harsh drug laws, as we reported many times. So maybe the US can step in and be like, look, you got to stop killing people for weed, man. You know, that's not cool. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see what happens there. Science and Health, a review concluded that there is sufficient clinical and preclinical evidence of CBD in pain treatment, so CBD could be an effective and safe treatment in reducing pain due to its analgesic, calm down, Billy, and anti-inflammatory properties. A review substantiates the claim that psilocybin is superior in treating depression compared to established psychotherapy alone used for treating depression. Oh, that's a cool one. You all know I'm a little bit of a fan of the old psilocybe. And to see that it's getting the appreciation it deserves, and they're actually noticing that it is good for different kinds of depression and anxiety and things like that, can really help people out, PTSD. So we could see more studies take place regarding psilocybin. That would be interesting to see as well. In business, is that SNDL Inc. closed its acquisition of the Endeavours Group business and assets, and also reported quarterly net revenue of, this is Canadian dollars, 236.9 million and an operating loss of 18.5 million. Curaleaf Holdings Inc. reported quarterly net revenue of $330.5 million and the net loss of 42.7 million. That's just saying dollars. It's not saying Canadian this time, so it's probably just US dollars. It separately completed a new 40 million revolving credit facility. Aurora Cannabis Inc. reported quarterly net revenue of Canadian dollars 81.1 million. So substantial amounts of money still. Another one here. Curaleaf is being sued by a former executive over alleged pay bias and sexual harassment. Okay. Yeah, so that's about everything from this article. There's lots going on, as you can see, after this election. It's a lot of things are moving forward, it seems. Any thoughts on any of this madness?
I don't think we are any clearer into knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
After hearing this.
Yeah, we've got another article that covers more in a little bit more detail for the specific states in a little bit, which we'll get to. Because, there were 4 states specifically we was looking at last week. But, yeah, lots of interesting things going on. But I think there's still lots of meetings to be had, lots of discussions to be had over the next couple of weeks to try and decide what states and what municipalities are going to move forward with what kind of restrictions, what kind of laws. Interesting. Long article. No, well, not long. It's just, it felt long, because it doesn't seem like the best written article. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, a lot of it was like bullet points and stuff, but yeah.
What do you think, Billy? Anything to add on this one?
It just seems like it's lots of more waiting and bullshit and political wank going on, really. It's again just delay after delay after delay. They could just copy and paste stuff from other states quite easily, and what's working is, you know what I mean? So they make it more difficult by trying to do it themselves rather than just looking at what's done and say, yeah, we'll take yours for now, slip that in there, and then work from that, if you know what I mean. Because this copy and paste blueprint, because you could get that done the next day because the laws are all written out. It's all done, dusted. It's
You would
stupid.
expect them to look around and be like, which state is making the most money? Let's go for that model.
Yeah.
You know what
exactly,
I mean?
yeah.
Which state brings in the most tax revenue? Okay, let's go for that model. Pretty simple.
But no,
Maybe that's what they'll do in the upcoming meetings. Maybe that's what they'll do. We have to wait and see. Yeah, I'm afraid. We just have to wait and see. You want to do one of your ones here, Margaret? You want to
sure
talk about the cannabis helping people sleep, maybe?
Let me just find that one.
That's right. It's on the list somewhere.
Oh, I had it open, but here it is. Cannabis can help some people, but not everyone, sleep. So if you're using it for sleep,
bad cannabis.
Pay attention. A study explains THC can help young adults with depression or anxiety, but otherwise could worsen sleep problems. Many insomniacs swear by cannabis as a way to help them sleep, while many scientific studies have found that THC actually exacerbates sleep problems. A new study published last week in Addiction might explain why. Researchers from the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine found that for young adults with pre-existing depression or anxiety, cannabis improved sleep. For those without pre-existing mental health conditions, it created more sleep problems. There's a common perception that cannabis can improve sleep, but the science on cannabis's effect on sleep is mixed. And part of the reason could be because individual factors like mental health play a role in how cannabis use affects sleep, says Claire Walsh, a PhD student in behavioral health at USC and lead author of the study. Walsh and her team used data from USC's Happiness and Health Study, which surveyed 3,300 public high school students in the Los Angeles area on their substance use. social and emotional health, as well as other health factors between 2013 and 2023. The study compared people who used cannabis 20 or more days each month and with those who had never tried it, and determined how cannabis affects their sleep problems using a 16-point scoring system. Walsh says that for participants who are anxious or depressed, her team saw an average decrease in sleep problems of minus 1.18 points over 6 months. And for participants without anxiety or depression, they saw an average increase of sleep problems of 1.66 points over 6 months compared with those who didn't use cannabis. Walsh isn't sure why cannabis affects people with anxiety or depression differently. One possibility is that THC helps mask the symptoms of anxiety or depression, which can have a negative impact on sleep. However, this doesn't necessarily mean cannabis is treating the underlying health condition, she emphasized. Research shows that people who use cannabis are more likely to have anxiety and depression, and evidence is mixed on whether or not the cannabis is helping. Sleep is regulated by the endocannabinoid system, and that cannabis tickles the endocannabinoid system, and that even though we don't know the exact pathway, we know that the endocannabinoid system mediates sleep, says Peter Grinspoon, a physician, Harvard Medical School instructor who wrote Seeing Through the Smoke about medical cannabis. Grinspoon says that people with anxiety and depression might find cannabis more beneficial for sleep because they're more likely to struggle with insomnia in the first place. It's easier to help someone who has a problem than someone who doesn't, he said. Another possible explanation for varying effects could be that people use cannabis differently if they're trying to sleep rather than get high. The USC study investigated how frequently people use cannabis containing THC, but not the size of their dose or the method of consumption. Grinspoon says that people who consume cannabis with specific intentions of improving their sleep likely use lower doses because high doses can be stimulating and keep people awake. Grinspoon suspects that much of the scientific research showing cannabis hurts sleep quality is using skewed methodologies. A lot of the cannabis research has been done under the auspices of the war on drugs, and there's been a major emphasis on finding harms and very little emphasis on finding benefits. Restrictions on cannabis research also prevent most researchers from studying cannabis in a lab setting, which means they must rely on real-world data about whether cannabis participants happen to be using. For example, a study from earlier this year looked at patients in the UK who treated their post-traumatic stress disorder with vaporized cannabis of the Hindu Kush strain. The researchers chose Hindu Kush because it's a well-established cannabis strain with stable genetic background, as well and a well-characterized chemical and pharmacological profile. The study found that participants experienced significant sleep improvements over a period of 6 months. Even when cannabis does help people sleep, it still comes with risks. Like other sleep medications, cannabis carries a risk of dependence, and people who decide to quit might experience withdrawal symptoms, including even worse insomnia. Researchers have also raised concern over the fact that cannabis can reduce the amount of time people spend in rapid eye movement sleep, which means they'll have fewer dreams. Hypothetically, that could be a problem, says Grinspoon, adding that we still don't understand well enough the implications of missed REM sleep. But he said other popular sleep aid medications like trazodone, Ambien, and Benadryl also reduce REM sleep. So it's kind of this double standard for cannabis as usual.
As usual.
It's interesting too that they talk about this study, but then they say that they're studying kids.
Yeah. And Twisted pointed that out in the chat. Why are they talking to high school kids? Why not talk to
Yeah.
adults? And I've just quickly thrown up a poll there in the YouTube chat, and people have voted on it quite quickly. And one about this: does cannabis help you sleep? And we're on 94% yes, 6% no. So I'd believe a YouTube poll more than I'd believe a biased fucking news organization. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's
Well,
a
and they
few
did do
things.
this study over 10 years. They did do this study over 10 years. So I guess they started out as kids and then morphed into young adults. But I don't know. It just doesn't. If you're doing survey methods over 10 years, it's pretty easy to have those survey results be skewed as well, because you're assuming that the people are filling out the surveys correctly as well.
Yeah, what he said here about and I don't know if this was Dr. Greenspoon talking about this, but talking about dependency from cannabis as well. I'd like to see, you know, are people who use cannabis more prone to being addicted to cannabis or the sleep medications? Because I reckon the sleep medications would be far more addictive and cause
God,
dependency
yeah.
than cannabis would. But that's just speculation. I don't know if there's any statistics towards that. But I'd like to know
In
the
my
answer there.
in my own personal experience, cannabis does help me sleep, and I have like one of those Oura rings, and it tracks my sleep, and
Right.
it doesn't seem to affect my REM sleep. However, if I don't smoke or like eat edibles on an evening, I definitely have way more vivid dreams when I
Uh,
don't. But
and people notice that as well. You know, these hardcore smokers, and it was the same for me when I used to smoke shitloads of weed. I didn't dream at all. Like, but it's more of a case you probably don't remember the dream, but you have to get to the
Mhm.
REM sleep stage before the dreams really kick in, because that's when the brain is properly triggering that shit. But before the REM sleep, that doesn't happen. So maybe that's the result of that as well. But when I quit smoking, and I'm sure everybody can agree, for those who have taken a tolerance break, forced tolerance break or not, when you take a tolerance break after using a lot of cannabis for a long period of time, you'd notice that you do get vivid dreams, you know, or maybe just start dreaming altogether, because so most of the time if you smoke a lot, you don't get dreams. So when you stop, you get
Mhm.
dreams, and they will definitely be more vivid than
But I
usual.
still get the REM sleep, so I don't know how that, like, I mean, obviously that's an N equals one experiment right there, but
Hmm.
I still enjoy REM sleep even when I have consumed cannabis before sleep. But I would agree as well, depending on factors, if I'm too high when I go to sleep, it definitely does not help me sleep.
Right, right. You just
But
your mind's ticking too fast.
oh God, yeah.
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 Interesting. Well, what did you say about this, Billy? What do you think? Cannabis help you sleep? Does it make it worse? What's the score? Do you dream?
Well, I use it particularly for the sleeping stuff, so
Right,
it stops the REM, so I don't have so many because I have really vivid, nasty dreams, and
right,
but
right.
also
PTSD
with the
kind of shit. Yeah.
yeah, serious ones. But it's the morning when you wake up, the memory recall as well. It really helps with, so you don't remember the dreams you have as so much.
Right.
Or you also have a less emotional contact with the dream, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So sometimes when you have a vivid dream, you emotionally wake up in the same emotional state as the dream. So
Hmm.
and
Yeah, yeah.
it can dull that out, that feeling out as well. Because sometimes I wake up either being like the anger is fucking like I want to fight a bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone walked in my house at that moment and I didn't know them, it'd be a very dangerous thing to do, if you know what I mean, because
Hmm.
I would feel you as a threat, and that's when I'd fucking, are you here to fucking kill me? And I'd pick something up and smash you with it. So
Yeah.
that's how. So that's what that stops. It stops that sort of feeling and memory recall. So that's why a lot of people with my condition use that
It's a good
for that
point,
reason.
man. Because some people don't want to dream. Maybe the fact that it does stop dreams is a good thing for some people.
It
That's a
is, yeah. That's
that
why.
that wasn't even covered in
Yeah.
this article, was it? And I think
Hmm.
that's an important point to the whole study.
It's massive, yeah. It's massive importance because that's why I use it because I don't have fucking
Yeah.
really, really long, vivid, nasty dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people with
So
PTSD suffering with nightmares constantly. Maybe cannabis is the right
yeah,
option for them because it will
it
stop
is.
the nightmares.
It's the only option because it does stop my night. I've had them since like for 40 odd years.
Mm,
Imagine having nightmares for 40 years every single fucking night. That's
yeah,
why
shit.
people don't cope with it and end up killing themselves
Damn,
because they
bro.
can't. That's why
Mm,
cannabis is such a fucking big part of PTSD, especially if you have the nightmares as well.
yeah,
So it's you really got to watch what you're doing. Also, strain choice as well is a massive thing as well. If you get the right strains and that, then well,
mm,
you're sort of you're flying. If you know what I mean,
Hmm.
your life is a completely different life. If you know what I mean, it's
yeah,
completely different. So much, even different for the people around you as well. If you know what I mean,
yeah. Well, sleep is a third of our lives, man. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Oh,
a
But
it's
big
super
part
also,
of it.
important. Yeah.
Mm,
the sleep deprivation then sends you into madness and then obviously suicidal and homicidal tendencies and
mm,
hallucinogens and all that. So that's why again cannabis works again. So it's like it's a win-win situation. The only thing we ain't winning is because we can't get consistent strain choice because the legality and the shit like that and everything around it. So
yeah.
That's the issue.
Interesting discussion to be had here regarding sleep. I think we want to hear from you guys
Yeah.
in the comments as well. You know, if you have anything to add to this, does cannabis help you sleep? Does it stop your dreams? Do you do that on purpose? Improper Weed Viking added there as well in the chat how sleep medications will fuck with your kidneys, like most of those kind of
Yeah.
medicines do. You know,
There's
there's
probably a
side
lot of other
effects.
side effects as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cannabis is most likely the better option. That I've said it many times, man. That cannabis should be the first thing people turn to. That should be your first thing. And if that doesn't work the way you want it to, then try the pharmaceutical meds after that. But definitely go with the natural medicine that cannabis is before trying anything else.
Oh yeah, I would like to point out that the Hindu Kush strain they chose was a good strain to choose as well.
It's an indica
actually.
strain,
Yeah,
isn't it? So yeah.
yeah, that would have been a good choice. Especially because again they said the stability of the strain and all that malarkey. That's important because obviously you don't want to be growing something that's new and the genetics are just like 5-6 different phenos from the same plants. You can handle 2 of them because they'd be generally sort of quite similar, but one of them you're always lean better towards, if you know what I mean. There's a medical thing. So it's what I've been finding recently. If you know what I mean. After pheno hunting for so long for stuff that works for me in that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
And in that poll there, about does cannabis help you sleep? Or what was the yeah, does cannabis help you sleep? That was the question I put up there, and it was yes or no, and 93% say yes. So there we go.
That's 30 votes as well.
Yeah, it's quite substantial. It's more than some of these pharmaceutical studies fucking have. Real talk. Yeah. But anyway, let's what are we saying going on in the UK there with the hemp laws, Billy? They are changing allegedly. What's the score there?
Well, allegedly, this is from like the Gov UK as well. Like, so it's obviously official because it's on their official
it's obviously
site.
official, but still full of shit.
Yeah, it's official shit.
Yes.
Here we go. So hemp license burdens to be cut back to help the UK economy grow. Yeah.
Any pun intended? Do you think? Do you think they intended?
Probably, yeah. I assume so. It's a hard part not to put in, really, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it really
To be
is.
honest,
It really is.
yeah. So hemp to be made easier for farmers to grow as license burdens reformed. Yeah, farmers really want to know that now, don't they? After going to steal off their land, you wankers.
Fucking hell,
But
man.
still, fucking, it's another different thing.
Yeah, different story. That is. Let's stay off that one. Gosh.
Let's stay off that before I do go in the fucking rant now. Right.
Save it for the Patreon session, bro.
Yeah. Reforms to current hemp license regulations are set to be introduced, making it easier for regulated farmers to grow the crop and maximise its economic potential. Regulated farmers is the word, though. Again. Yeah.
What does that
so you have to
mean?
buy a license. We have to buy a license.
You have to buy a license to grow.
Okay. Yeah. So you have to pass all the probably security tests and all that shit. And
You're
not near a school or like when you're in the fucking countryside, all farms. Most of them have got like little schools for all the fucking local villages, like the little school kids. So like that's fucked all the farmers straight away. They're like stupid.
Drowning in bureaucracy.
Yeah. So the plant is grown strictly for lawful purposes, such as the use in construction and textile industries. And only farmers with a license are allowed to plant it. So the government has agreed to several reforms developed in a collaboration with experienced growers, whoever that is, to the licensing system, which will help boost the industry. Under the changes, license holders will now be able to grow hemp anywhere on a licensed farm, reducing the unnecessary burden on farmers who currently have set out which exact field where they have to grow the plants within the farm. This change is expected to come into effect for the 2025 growing season. So that's the next season, which ain't too bad then. At least it's this season as such. You know what I mean? So ahead of the 26 growing season. 2 further changes to the regulations are planned. The first will see an extension of the maximum period for a license from 3 to 6 years, subject to compliance with the license terms again. The second change will allow those applying for a license to defer its start date for up to 1 year, helping farmers to make business planning easier. So they've got a year to I understand that. but even still, it's still not good enough, really, is it? Minister of Crime Policing, Dame Diana Johnson, said these reforms will bring an important boost to the industry and cut down the unnecessary burdens that have been placed on businesses. Well, could just drop the license altogether, couldn't you?
Yeah.
This government will always listen to encourage with industry experts, and we want to make it easier for license holders to capitalise on economic potential of legally growing hemp.
What? Oh, I'm not going to do it. Carry on, Billy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
shush. The Minister for Food and Security and Rural Affairs said these improvements to the licence regime for industrial hemp are a positive step for farmers. Yeah. Recognising that industrial hemp is a field-grown agricultural crop, these reforms will simply... Agricultural, yeah, I can say it, but I can't read it. It's stupid, isn't it? These reforms will simplify the license application process to provide greater flexibility within crop rotation, enabling farmers to fully realise the economic and environmental benefits of the crop. Yeah, and the rest. The government recognises cannabis is a harmful substance. And expects police to take action against its misuse and supply. As a Class B substance, being caught in possession of cannabis carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, a fine, or both. They've got to stick this in there at the end, didn't they? Supplying the drug also is a serious criminal offence and carries a maximum sentence of up to 14 years in prison and unlimited fine, or both. So don't grow it without a licence, you bastards.
Madness.
I don't understand why. Well, I guess I do understand why they ended the article with that, but
yeah, that's the government. That's the actual government article, which is why they went in.
Right.
Don't you
no
dare
license grow and all this stuff, but it's a harmful substance, and we expect police to take action against its misuse and supply. Okay, then.
Wow.
Thanks, government.
Just so many fucked up things. Just the bullshit in it. Where was that one which I got triggered? Which was the bit that triggered me?
All of it. The lot.
Yeah, all of it, really. You know, it's like the reforms will bring an important boost to the industry. How about just legalize cannabis properly and provide an important boost to the economy of the whole UK, which we need so fucking bad. Sorry, Margaret?
Who are they growing the hemp for?
For textiles and shit. I don't know.
Oh, is that what it said?
TCHT clothing. Who's the guy? You know, the guy. There's a UK company that makes clothing out of hemp.
Yeah, THTC.
Yeah. A good guy. So maybe prices will go down, and because he has to go to China to get his hemp. Maybe he will be able to get it from the UK now. We'll see. Well,
yeah, I assume with this he'd be able to have his own farm and that a lot easier. But again, it's still licensing regulations and restrictions are still in place down to whatever the license is now. They've only changed it to make it last for 6 years. And you're sort of a little longer to put your license in as a business plan and start growing and all that. So it's still maximum THC levels of 0.2.
Yeah, I would get that license. I'd be like, there's a hemp, there's a cannabis, there's a hemp. Just planting rows and rows. There's one hemp plant, and then a THC heavy cannabis, and then just fuck them. Come out and test it, you prick. Oh man. It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. They have to play these silly games and just make everybody jump through these silly fucking hoops, then doing what is supposed to happen and fully legalizing and regulating cannabis. Imagine the farmers across the country being able to grow a field of cannabis. Their money troubles would be over. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
This it triggers me a bit too much. Just they're trying to make out like they're doing everybody a favor. Like, look at us, look, we're making hemp easier to grow. Look, everybody, and they'll be saying that it's cannabis at some point because they like to change the words to make it seem better. Oh, we let farmers grow cannabis now, without saying it's the hemp variety of cannabis.
Or maybe they're going, look, farmers, you can grow more hemp and cannabis now. Your land's worth more money, so you have to give us more tax money and give us more of your land because you can't afford it. It's worth more than £1 million quid now.
No, that sounds likely. Yeah,
that sounds more like the fucking government to me, mate.
Allow the farmers
allegedly
to make
and all of that shit.
More money on their land, so it's worth more, so they get taxed more on it with the inheritance tax.
Yeah, exactly. My God. And then the farmers lose more land because they can't afford to pay it, obviously.
Fuck yeah, now. I don't think the
But
government's
still,
that intelligent to be trained chess on that level. Right?
of course they are. Fucking, they go.
I
That's why
hope
they go
not.
to all these fucking private schools to get taught this shit, mate.
Ugh. But you
It's
shouldn't blame
true
on
though.
malice. What can be blamed on
That's
stupidity?
allegedly,
So,
obviously, government. I don't really
oh, of
think
course,
they're doing that.
allegedly, of course.
Yeah, leave me alone, please.
Fucking
Don't
hell.
wankers.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see if any cannabis fields pop up near me at some point. Because if they do, I'm fucking sticking a couple of my own plants in that fucker.
Innit? Yeah, innit? Just to see. Just to see.
You know what I mean? You get that, that app that what's it called? The 3 words, 3 small words, something like that, where there's a meter square, and every meter square on Earth has been given 3 words, and you can put send somebody those 3 words, and they'll know. It's like coordinates, but done with words, and you could just like
Oh,
get your 3 words of where you put your plants, and just go visit every now and again when it's in a field of fucking ganja. You know what I'm saying? There's a new form of guerrilla growing just about to happen here in the UK. You know?
I would suggest that maybe not put it in a field of hemp because your weed's gonna look a lot different than the hemp weed. It might stick out a bit much.
Yeah,
Too much.
maybe. But it's just the hemp will be massively taller.
Yeah.
But if it's a big fucking couple of acres, a couple of plants just hidden there amongst the field of hemp, maybe you'll get away with it. It's worth a try.
That's true. There's no harm in trying, I guess. Except you might
That's
lose
right.
your plant. But
Imagine them news articles coming out next year. It's like farmers' fields being shut down because people are growing cannabis in it.
overtaken by cannabis plants. Yeah.
And the guy comes out, start testing all the hemp plants to make sure they're all less than 2% THC, and finding White Widow out there and shit. Funny.
It's £580 to apply for a license at the minute.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, that is. I was expecting it to be a lot more, but
Yeah, that's the obviously the non-THC hemp
well,
license.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hemp, which
The
is
others
different.
are all like between 3 and
But there was a
5 grand.
genetic mutation in this one, officer. You know what I'm saying? Interesting.
Yep,
Let's see what
definitely.
happens. We'll keep everybody updated with this article as it moves forward next year. See what happens. Very interesting, I think. Hey, let's go back to the USA here and talk about 4 states had cannabis on the ballot on Tuesday. Here's what happened. That's the news article from The Hill over here. Tuesday looked to be a potentially big day for cannabis advocates for voters in 4 states: Florida, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota, responding to legislation measures on their ballots. Nearly half the country has already legalized medical cannabis, recreational marijuana, or both of 2024. As of 2024. Voters in Florida rejected the effort and would have added to their state to that list. Sorry, voters in Florida rejected an effort that would have added. There we go. Yeah, would have added their state to that list. The amendment would have allowed adults 21 years old and older to use and possess cannabis for non-medical purposes. Nextstar's WFLA reports. Don't know what that means. While it received a majority support in nearly 56% voting in favor of the measure, it failed to reach the necessary 60% threshold it needed to pass. Okay, so it's not just 50-50 over there. You need to push it all the way to 60% before something can happen. I wonder why they've done that. They should have done something like that with Brexit. You know what I mean? Why didn't we have that for Brexit? Because Brexit was like 48-52. It was very, very close, very close. I
Right.
think a big deal like that shouldn't be decided by such a small margin. Why didn't we
I
have
think
that?
that's why they have it for the bigger policies. I think it goes into another category where it needs a higher percentage threshold.
All right. Interesting. The measure was... Why isn't this coming on now? There we go. The measure was opposed by the Florida Republican Party and Governor Ron DeSantis, who said it would reduce the quality of life by leaving a cannabis stench in the air. Remember when we covered that? God damn.
I do remember that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, You know, I don't like the smell of it, so you can't have it. It's like, fuck you, man. Voters in South Dakota have also seemingly rejected the measure to legalize recreational cannabis in the state for a 3rd time. So no in
hell's
South
South Dakota?
Dakota. Damn. And South Dakota is a northern state as well. I mean, you expect these things from southern states like Florida, way down there at the bottom of the USA, but South Dakota is near the top. You know, it's just underneath North Dakota, if you didn't know. You would have expected them to and be a little bit more liberal with this kind of thing. In 2020, voters approved cannabis legislation, but the legality of the measure was challenged by the head of the state's highway patrol, Nexstar's KELO previously reported. The South Dakota Supreme Court ultimately ruled against the measure. Wow. Talk about democracy. As of early Wednesday morning, with 90% of precincts reporting in the state, only 43.6 had voted in favor of the measure passing. So no for South Dakota, everybody. How fucking shit is that? North Dakota voters were also asked for a third time about legalizing recreational cannabis, according to Nexstar's KXMB. Measure 5 would make it legal for adults 21 years and older to produce, process, sell, and use cannabis in North Dakota while establishing a state body to regulate it. Like South Dakota, voters in North Dakota rejected the legalization effort. 52.5% voted against Measure 5, according to the Associated Press. So again, what the fuck is that about? Damn. North Dakota and South Dakota have already approved medical cannabis. The lone victory for legislation advocates came from Nebraska, where voters approved 2 measures that legalize medical cannabis and regulate the industry. Despite passing easily, nearly 71% voted in favor of legislation, whilst almost 67% voted in favor of establishing a commission to regulate the industry, according to the AP. Local outlets reported it could face legal challenges. Yeah, like another state there. What was the state that I mentioned there where they did legalize it, but the state was like, "No, fuck you, you're not having it anyway." Boo. Madness. For the legalization efforts to get on the ballot, advocates had to collect over 230,000 signatures. WOWT reports. There's lots of acronyms in this one, isn't there? A judge in Lancaster County, however, has yet to rule on whether some of those signatures were tainted. Should roughly 3,500 signatures be discredited, the results of Tuesday's election could be voided. Nebraska's election results are set to be certified on December the 2nd. Nationally, the federal process of rescheduling cannabis as a less dangerous drug continues. Right, yeah, so that's about all of it. It was only Nebraska. Out of those 4 states, only Nebraska said yes. Yeah, it's shocking,
especially considering over half the people in Florida, like, what was it, 56%? But they're like, oh, you have to have a super majority for this particular ballot measure, and otherwise they would have had their legal weed. But
wow.
Leave it up to the states, they say. Fuck, just legalize it federally and be done with it.
Yeah, legalize it federally and then just still leave it up to the states. I mean, it's democracy at the end of the day. The majority of people voted against it in the 3 states anyway. So, fucking, what can you do? It's just shit. Well, we disagree with it because we're all cannabis advocates, but there are people out there who don't like it, and they're entitled to their opinion too. It's just fucked. It's just very short-sighted. And they all have, I think all these states also do have medical cannabis legislation, right? I don't think they're all fully illegal. So at least there's something, but shit. Yeah. It's a strange position to be in, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Tough one, man. But I wonder, I mean, what's the midterms? Midterms 2 years away? Maybe they'll ask again for a 4th time. Can they even do that? I mean, because this is already the 3rd time they keep asking. It's like just keep going back. Like, how about now? How about now? What about now?
You got to just keep doing it, yeah.
Well, maybe by then all the reefer madness folks will have died off, and then
that's the problem.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a few guys die off each year, so that's the hope, isn't it? That
right.
Fingers crossed.
Gosh. Fingers crossed. They don't need another COVID or anything, but like a nice flu coming along to wipe a few out, eh? Like.
Sounding a little bit like Bill Gates there, a bit hopeful on that you are, Billy.
Yeah.
But yes, so interesting, man. I was expecting all 4 of them to be like, yeah, because that's the logical thing to do, in my opinion. But unfortunately, to see only one of those states have legalized recreational cannabis, man, that's shocking. We'll wait until the next midterms and see what happens there. But we have one more news article here, and this is from Margaret as well, which is about what percentage of Americans smoke cannabis.
Yes, now that we've just covered a story where 3 out of 4 states turned down marijuana legalization, let's see how many of those people are actually smoking in secret.
Let's see how many of those people are pissed off. You know?
That's right. Let's see. So what percentage of Americans smoke marijuana? Let's find out. 15% of Americans report they smoke marijuana, according to a combined Gallup data from 2023 and 2024. While not statistically different from the average of 14% in 2021 to 2022, it is consistent with an upward trend in recent years. Only 15%?
I thought that as well. That seems like really low. That must like include everybody, like even children. I mean, 15%. That's
It
really
doesn't seem
fucking
like,
low.
I thought it would have been higher, but it also depends on how honest people are being when they're being polled. But
That's it. 14% admitted to being cannabis
yes,
users. Yeah.
yes. The percentage of US adults who report they smoke cannabis has more than doubled since 2013, when the Gallup first asked the question to its annual consumption habit survey. That year, 7% said they smoke it. So in 2013, it was 7%, 2023, 24, it's doubled to 15%. Cannabis use varies significantly by gender, age, and other respondent characteristics as follows. It says men, 17% are more likely than women, 11% to say they smoke cannabis. Adults aged 55 and older, 10% are less likely to report using marijuana than are middle-aged, 18%, and young adults at 19%. That kind of checks out because adults of that age were fed a lot of propaganda about cannabis, and they probably don't want to admit that they might be enjoying it or using it. Smoking cannabis is more common among adults without a college degree, 17%, than it is among college graduates, 11%. Democrats, 23%, are more than twice as likely as Republicans, 10%, to report using cannabis, with independence rate 14% falling between them. Regionally, the highest rates of cannabis usage are in the West, 19%, Midwest, 16%, and the East, 16%. It is lower in the South, where 11% report using it. What percentage of Americans have ever tried cannabis? Gallup asks a separate half sample of respondents in its annual consumption habit survey if they've ever tried cannabis. The combined data for 2023 and 2024 puts the figure at 47%.
Wow.
So have you ever tried it? 47% of the respondents said yes, but only 15% of the people say they use it on some kind of regular basis. So they don't say what that regular base, how that's defined. But Gallup's trend on ever having tried marijuana shows that experimentation increased sharply in the first decade after the initial measure in 1969. Between then and 1977, it jumped 20 percentage points from 4 to 20%. It rose another 9 points by 1985 to 33%, but after that stalled at under 40% until 2015, when it ticked up to 44% and has since increased slightly but remains below 50%.
Wow.
Depending on how honest people are being. The Gallup has also recorded a significant increase in the U.S. public support for legalization of marijuana over the past 6 decades, except on those ballot measures, but rising from 12% in 1969 to a high of 70% in 2023, before leveling off at 68% this year. So generally speaking, 68% of the U.S. public believes in the legalization of cannabis. So I think they should just do it.
They should have voted more then in the other previous bills, then, shouldn't they?
They should what?
They should have voted in the previous bills more, because they only got like 40% turn voted, if you know what I mean.
Wow,
so this is
40%
saying
turnout,
that
right.
So this is saying a high percentage of people believe. So if everyone that believed in it turned out, then the votes would change. That's what that's saying. If you compare the two stories together.
So basically, a lot of people smoke weed in the US. Unsurprisingly.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Which is, again, surprising. Like the attitudes have obviously changed a lot since the 50s and 60s, but it's a lot of the people who have the ability to change the laws are
they're
I don't
still
know,
at that
stuck in
age,
the
still older.
past.
Yeah.
They're voting based on religion. I don't know. It was probably a whole bunch.
Also, they're obviously financially involved in pharmaceutical industries and
That
various other
too.
things
They
as
have
well. So
have a
that's the
reason
issue
not
as
to
well.
vote for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like there's
it's
all kinds of
financial incentive.
right.
Wow. Yeah, very, very enlightening news there from the USA in both stories. You know, they did 3 stories from the US today. Them states that didn't legalize, that's a little bit fucking crazy, man. And then
Just to add, just to add, some people won't admit because of their jobs as well, wouldn't they? Because it could
Well, there's all kinds of reasons why people would not say that they consume cannabis.
That's going to be a good high percentage.
And all kinds of reasons. Because it doesn't 15% of adults consume cannabis. What was it? 68% believe in. No, it was higher than that. 70% believe in legalization.
It went up to 70, but then came down to 68 of people who think it should be legalized.
Right. But then what was the percentage of 47% of the US folks have tried it.
Yeah, tried it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't inhale, one of those things.
Right.
See how many people who go use, like in say the UK, go down the local pub would then use cannabis as well. It's still quite a high percent, if you know what I mean.
I don't know. I think people,
even though a lot use cocaine as well.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying.
People who go to the pub tend to not use cannabis as much. I don't think. I think they're more.
No, they won't use. But still a good percentage of them I would know that would still consume cannabis at some point during the week, or maybe a one joint after. I mean, they wouldn't consume a lot all the time, but there would still be a good percentage of them would still consume cannabis. So I just think that it's a bit low, if you know what I mean, for society now, because a lot of people won't admit to it still.
Yeah, that's it.
Especially in America. Especially in America, because of their job gets heavily affected by it, doesn't it? And you're always testing out there. They test less in the UK than.
And it's same here in the UK as well. And people won't admit to using cannabis because, the repercussions of using cannabis. So they'll be like, no. What even is cannabis? What do you mean? Even when a fucking doctor asks, do you smoke? It's like, nope.
Right. It's just so interesting because you have a place like Canada and nobody gives a shit. Honestly.
When he says, "Do you use drugs?" you go, "Yeah, I use paracetamol."
Right.
And they like to crush them and snort them to remind me of my youth. Fuck. It's crazy, isn't it? I don't know. I think maybe over the next 4 years, I can never believe what a fucking politician says, man. So I'm skeptical to think that Trump will actually legalize over the next few years, but we just have to sit there and wait and see. And necessarily, if what did it say about the 68% want legislation? Maybe legally make it legal federally, but not impose any restrictions on the states and let the states make their mind up or something. I don't know, man. Difficult position.
I don't know. Just fucking legalize it and be done with it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it? And let people make their own mind because they're adults.
Exactly. You don't have to go smoke it if you don't want to smoke it. The stores are often very nice to look at.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not. The sky did not fall when Canada legalized.
Yeah, it makes no sense, does it?
No, I think other things have made Canada fall rather than the cannabis.
Yeah.
So,
but we won't get into that discussion.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, so that's all the news stories that we have. Let us know what everybody thinks in the chat there. If you listen to the show, do you think Trump is going to legalize? Do you use cannabis to help you sleep? All sorts of things like that. If you've got anything to say about any of the stories that was covered here, then do let us know. Just drop a comment or something. It'd be good to hear from you all. Is there any forum news? I don't think there is any forum news, right? I don't think so. There's nothing I can think of adding right here. You see Margaret going through the show notes here.
No. Can you see what I'm doing now?
Distracting me there, just all this purple flashing up. It's like, what's going on here? Yeah, no forum news to add. I'm just thinking now quickly. No, we had some cool boxes made. If you head over to the forum and look for a thread called "Holy Shit, This Is Awesome," I think the thread is called. We had Woody too over at the forum who has been making these wooden boxes and sending them out to us, and they're so fucking finely made, real nice. Got engravings of Percy's Grow Room and engravings of High and Homegrown on it. He's got our avatars on it and stuff. Really nice, man. Really nice. So a big shout out to Woody there for the hard work he put into those. It was very cool. There's some competitions over at Percy's, as always. We got to get the Macky's monthly comp started. I haven't done that yet, but that'll be starting in the next few days. Should be, so you can get involved in that. But that's it. Yeah, no private sessions coming up. No special live streams right now. We'll get some sorted in the near future, but I think that's everything. Anything to add? You got anything on your side, Margaret? Anything to add on the Bite Me side of things?
No, not really.
No? Anything to add,
Just-
Billy? Sorry, Margaret, you weren't finished.
Yeah, when
No,
Woody
no, go
said he
ahead.
was sending out some wood, I didn't think I'd get a picture format.
Right, brilliant. Brilliant.
Meh.
Meh. Yeah, that's a nice place to end it. Go for a smoke break. Are we ready for a smoke break?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
do it. Let's do it. And then we'll talk about some bud rot. Fuck, bud rot. Let's not get into that discussion just yet, though.
Don't start that rant already.
Yeah, let's try not to rant. God, I hate bud rot. But that's what makes us check our plants every day, so... You know what I mean? But anyway, what else has been going on? We just had that huge election happen. We don't want to talk too much about that, though. But what else is going on other than that? It was Remembrance Sunday today here in the UK.
Yeah, we
Where
should
we,
remember that.
Yeah, where we, pay some homage to those guys who sacrificed their lives for our freedoms.
Shout out to the unknown soldier.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy. I don't know what it is. It just seems like every generation just gets further and further away from that and remembers it less and less. It was always a big deal for my generation when we were kids, the whole Remembrance Sunday thing. It doesn't seem like a big deal like it used to be. It's just fading off, isn't it?
It still is a
seems
big
that way.
deal, but people don't seem to be that have enough knowledge of what actually happened. If you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've got stories from the person who lived and breathed it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and grew up in the area what was massively affected, like East London
Yeah,
was
in the
bombed.
Blitz, yeah.
Fuck yeah! So I've got all them stories. So yeah, I've got a big connection with it.
Crazy times, man. Yeah, my granddad was involved in all World War II and shit as well. He told me some stories when I was young. Probably too young to hear those stories. But still.
Yeah, definitely. But still, we needed to hear them. They needed to tell them. Is what's the more important thing.
It's crazy to think what some of those guys went through, man. Such a young age as well.
Yeah, when you look at the average age of all the soldiers, and they were all boys, really.
Yeah. The whole lads brigades, remember those? So that were coming from World War One. They're just like 18-year-old kids, 18 to 20, and sometimes even younger.
A lot of them 14 or 15. Loads of them because they wasn't able to dispose or stole their brothers like fucking ID and shit like that. It's like all sorts, mate.
Crazy, isn't it? I'm glad we got through that shit. Hopefully we don't have to do it again at some point. Damn.
That's the only good thing about technology. Hopefully they'll fight wars like that now with AI and drones rather than people.
Warfare,
the use of people slowly being
cyber wars and shit.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it is. But, lest we forget and all that, everybody. Don't forget about these people who make that ultimate sacrifice so we can live the life that we live now.
So we can grow weed.
Well, so we can be told that we can't.
Yeah, but we do anyway because that's what they taught us.
Fuck. Free to pursue happiness and freedom. The Pursuit of Happiness. You know that movie? Is that the Will Smith movie? The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
It is. What a fucking great movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, get you in the feels. One of those movies gets you in the feels. When he sits in the office. Spoiler alert, anybody, if you haven't seen it and you want to go see it, then don't listen.
You haven't seen this movie that came out 15 years ago. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, it always feels weird doing that. Spoiler alert for this old ass movie. When he's sitting in the chair and he's like, yeah, I thought I'd wear a shirt today because it's the last day. And they're like, well, we're going to have to wear one tomorrow because that's going to be your first day. And the fucking struggle the guy's been through to get there, to get to that position. And he gets the fucking job. It's like, damn. Well done to that.
Nah, crying already.
Yeah, okay, so he makes you so happy. He got his $5 back from the guy. Good movie, man. Good movie. And then
I know another film that had $5 in it.
Which, oh, I know which one you mean. Full Metal Jacket, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mate. Yeah,
Good movie. Good movie.
good movie.
Tulboku.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fucking classic. I love
Yeah,
that movie.
that is a
Damn.
classic.
Spoiler alert, everybody. On a 40-year-old movie.
Right.
I'm sure it's not that old, but damn, Full Metal Jacket. What a movie. What a movie. God damn.
It's got to be close to being that old,
Yeah,
isn't
It
it?
probably is.
He's got to be
Feels
early
like
90s.
20 years since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
great
shit.
movie. Great movie. I haven't seen any good movies recently. Anybody seen any
Oh,
good movies?
talking of that, actually, it's like 40 years since Freddy Krueger.
Don't lie.
Yeah, mate.
Fuck
It's
yeah. No.
It's like the anniversary, like of Freddy. Freddy's
Wow.
anniversary.
Oh,
40 years of Freddy.
Nightmare on Elm Street gave me like really bad nightmares back in the day.
They were
when I was a
real
kid.
horror movies, you know. Nowadays they're nothing. And I don't know whether that's
Oh,
because
I
we're
know.
old or you know, so we're used to
Well,
it.
and, yeah, and like it obviously looks like a 40-year-old movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the time when I was like, I don't know, I think I was like 11 or 10 or something. I had horrible nightmares.
They're fucking terrifying, man. Yeah.
I haven't done well with
Oh
horror
my
movies.
gosh, Pagan, you're fucking banned. Pagan put in the chat there, Scream was 30 years ago.
It was
30
not.
years ago?
What?
30
No way.
Is it?
No, you
That was
can't
like-
say that.
You know
That
what
was
that means?
94 then.
You know what
I
that
know
means?
exactly what that
That
means.
movie was from the late 1900s.
Oh, don't say things like that, Margaret. No. No.
Oh, I know. It sounds weird, doesn't it? But soon we'll be saying that. I think some of the kids are
The
already
young
saying
kids
that.
do say it already.
I
Yeah, from the
know.
late 1900s. And you're like, who the fuck are you talking to?
Yeah.
The missus, she filled out on a form before how you know she filled in her year of birth, which is in the 1980s, and the kids, because they were born in like mid 2000s, they had never seen anybody write down that kind of date before. And the oldest boy said to her, "Mum, did you make that date up?" Because they'd never seen it in 1900 format like that. That's fucking.
That's
Wow.
funny. I had to do your mum with her age. Like, did you make that up?
You know,
Like,
did you make that age up? Did you used to have to go to the toilet outside? You know, you know, you used to have running hot water in your house. God damn. Damn, what were the dinosaurs like?
Oh God.
Fuckers. God damn. Jaws is 50 years old next year. God damn.
Shut up. That's made in the year I was born, mate. Shush.
Wow. Wow. It's crazy how time flies by, isn't it?
It really is. Feel old yet?
Yeah, I definitely do. Now, thanks, Pagan. Thanks, Pagan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shut up now, bro. You shut.
Yeah.
God
Yeah, so
damn.
take your own advice there, mate.
Oh, I don't know what to say now. I'm kind of feel broken now. I
So
feel
we should go
old.
on to the bud right and cheer ourselves up, innit?
Oh, you know what I mean? Let's cheer ourselves up with some fucking Bud Light, you know?
Yeah, that's gonna do it for sure.
Gosh, fucking hell. I kind of regret going down that movie tangent now.
Well, you did just ask, I seen any good movies lately. It just seems like nobody's seen anything from this fucking decade.
Yeah, but this century, you know, fuck.
Yeah.
Really, there's not many good movies out nowadays. It's just all repeats. We did mention on the Halloween stream when we did the Halloween stream, because we were talking about horror movies there. But them Paranormal Activity movies were good. Well, the first one was at least.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Yeah, they scared the shit out of me.
Super creepy, yeah. I actually watched that one.
Yeah,
I don't watch a
good
lot of
movie.
horror movies, but that one was super creepy.
Mm. Well, I've seen that one, a new one released by Amazon, Apocalypse Z. Yeah, because I like zombie movies.
No,
Anybody seen that one yet?
no.
Is that a new one, is it?
Yeah, it's a new one. To be
I'll
honest, I
have to-
wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't watch it again. It was okay. It was okay.
I'll have to watch it though, because it's a zombie movie. I'll watch them all, no
Yeah,
matter how
that's it,
bad
innit?
they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, you
I've
gotta
watched
watch
like
it.
Z-class zombie movies, mate.
You know,
Still set through
And,
them.
you know,
just
watching a
'cause-
movie with the missus as well, which means she'll turn the movie on and fall asleep, and then I have to just sit down and watch the movie on my own, which is
Right.
cool. You know, that's the way it goes when we watch movies. Yeah. Yeah, Zombie
I did
Nation was a
watch
good
the,
one as well. Did you ever see Z Nation? That movie should.
Yeah.
That
Probably, I
TV
think
show.
so.
It was okay. It was okay.
I did watch some Martha Stewart documentary on Netflix recently.
What was that about?
Martha Stewart.
Oh, right. Like, so it was about her, not just like about
Yeah.
food or something.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. She's like, she's been around for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
long before the whole insider trading thing happened.
Insider
Yeah.
trading thing, like Nancy Pelosi.
Well, she went to prison for, well, jail, I guess,
that's
for
right,
Allegedly.
she did, didn't she?
Allegedly.
something like that. Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
done more
pretty
prison
much.
time than Snoop Dogg. How fucking
Yeah.
crazy is that?
Yeah, I think that was mentioned in
Funny.
the film.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really interesting. I was
Yeah, man.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, if they threw her in prison for doing what they do, yeah, it's madness.
Yeah,
isn't it?
at the
It's
height
madness.
of her career too, because she had built like a multi-billion-dollar enterprise or something at that point. And
It got too big.
they're like, fuck you can't do that. And then they put her in prison. And then it was real bleak for a long time.
Yeah,
And
they
then
do
she
that to
came
people,
back.
don't they?
I've
What's
just
that?
noticed the typo in this scrolly thing going across the bottom of the screen. I've only just noticed that. Wow.
Is there?
Yeah, I should fix that while I'm here, and I've noticed it.
Now I'm trying to find it.
See if you can find it before I fix it, everybody. Oh, it hasn't even come up yet.
Oh.
Everyone's gone quiet now because they're all
Everyone-
trying to read.
trying to find.
Can't read and talk at the same time. Like.
I'm just trying to find it in the text here. There it is. Right, I found it. I'll wait until it scrolls past at least once so you can catch it. Everybody watching that text at the bottom, find the typo.
Keep on reading. Keep on reading.
Yeah, okay, it's getting there. I'm just giving you hints, everybody. It's coming up now, anytime soon.
Oh,
do we see it yet?
it could be there.
Do we see it?
No.
It might be on screen now.
Well, the description.
Don't know. Description is spelled correctly.
Competitions.
Competitions. No, that's spelled correctly too.
That looks correct.
See, I can't spell. You see.
Anybody get it? Anybody get it?
Any long words.
All right.
But remember, you've got the delay, ain't you? There.
Yeah, there's a little
Yeah.
bit of delay. It's fixed now, anyway. So.
Oh, come on.
Somebody had to have seen it.
I
Somebody had to
didn't
have seen
see
that.
it. Didn't see it.
I suppose I don't change the text on the smoke break thing, so it's been there for fucking ages and nobody's spotted it. God
Nobody's
damn.
noticed. You should have been like,
There we go. I
right.
seen he got it. Percy's Grow Room was spelled Peryc.
Oh.
Ah,
This is a minor error. You know what? One of the things that pisses me off when I'm typing.
typing too fast.
Yeah, it
Yes.
happens all the time with the word
Yep.
to.
I'll do it.
You know, TO. It always comes out as OT every time, man. It drives me crazy. They have to go back and change everything just to make sure it's correct. I'm gonna have to slow myself down specifically when I come to them words from that one. But anyway,
Stop doing it one-handed. And the
no,
typing.
no, need the two hands. You know. Anyway, are we ready to do some grow guides?
It's no jokes there, but carry on.
No jokes there. Calm down, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some bud rot. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Episode 19. Here we go. And if you look at the thumbnail there, there's some funky looking bud that's looking like it's half dead because it has bud rot in it. And there's some mean shit. And if you're following the guide, you know, as we suggest, going from episode 1 up until now, then your plants should be growing nice by now. You should have some nice juicy flowers going. You've got a few weeks left of the grow. If you're growing a short flowering, you might have some a longer time left, you know. Anything from 3 to 6 weeks, I reckon you got left on your grow by now. Well, we'll discuss all that as we move forward. But we want you to be able to spot bud rot because there's lots of things that can happen to your plant. You know, nutrient deficiencies, bugs might get in, all this different shit which is quite easily fixable. But if bud rot shows up and starts to attack your buds, there's no fixing that. You just have to cut it out and get fucking rid of it, and it's gone. You can't use it for anything. You can't use it for edibles. You can't use it for hash. It's just completely wasted because it's full of mold. And we don't want that to happen to you. It hurts. It will happen at some point. It always happens. Everybody who's been growing for a while has experienced bud rot at some point. So we want you to be able to recognize it as early as possible. We want you to know how to prevent it happening in the first place, so you can reduce the risk of you getting it. But even with the reducing the risk and being on top of it, making sure that you're checking it every day, it can still happen. So we just want to run through this shit to try and save as many buds as possible as you move forward. So I thought this was a good topic to cover for today's episode. So yeah, let's just get stuck into it. We've all had bud rot before. I have had bud rot. Billy, you had bud rot?
Yep, everyone has.
Margaret, you had bud rot?
No, never.
No, is that sarcastic?
I'm lying. That was sarcastic. Of course I have.
Couldn't tell because I know you grow outdoors, and
I've had bud rot on outdoor and indoors. So
yeah, outdoors it's really easy to happen, you know, because the buds get wet from the rain and shit out there.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, bud rot is this kind of mold. It's called botrytis, I think it's called. I think it doesn't matter if you know the name of it or not. It's not going to stop it from getting in the tent. You know what I mean? And essentially, what happens is some mold spores will get on the buds, and they will be on the buds the whole time. The problem is when the mold spores actually germinate and they start to grow on or inside of the buds. And bud rot can be known as a curse of the big buds as well, because what happens is these mold spores will land on the buds, and as they grow, they get trapped on the inside of the buds. And that's when the air becomes stale and the humidity can build up and they can germinate inside a bud. And then you don't see it until it's actually starting to affect the plant, and that's when you're going to lose some plant matter. So you have to make sure your fans are on all the time. They don't ever leave your plant just sitting there without fans blowing at it, because stale air will cause mold spores to germinate, and that's when the bud rot's going to grow. So, and there's other ways to prevent it from growing, but that's the most likely way. If you get stale air pockets, the mold spores are going to germinate and begin to grow. So be very careful of that. What would you say, Billy? What do you say about some of these conditions that bud rot starts in?
Also, if it's too like damp, if there's lots of just like fucking like water moisture in the air all the time as well, if you're not pulling out enough with your fans, if they're too low, I think as well.
Yeah,
high
humidity is a massive one.
Yeah.
But
it's water dripping off your ceiling and off your walls is not a good thing. Like
that fluctuation in temperature.
Yeah.
Sorry, Margaret, what was that?
So wouldn't that be a really bad thing? Have water dripping off your ceiling?
Yeah, for sure. Any excessive moisture. Once you get humidity in the grow tent even over 55%, but 55% is okay, because you should be growing mold resistant strains. And when you say mold resistant, it doesn't mean mold proof. It means it's just a little bit more resistant than other strains. So you're growing a mold resistant strain. So anything up to 55%, then it's less likely to see bud rot, but it can still happen. But once you go over 65% room humidity, then yeah, it really increases the chances of that mold germinating and beginning to grow. So you have to be very cautious with the environment. And as the buds get bigger, it gets more and more likely. When you have young plants, plants that are just halfway through the flowering stage, not very likely to seize at that point. But when you get into those into the later flowering stages, where the buds start to get really big and start filling out, then you're much more likely to see it there. So yes, and as I say, if you do see the bud rot on your plants, then your plant's fucked. Well, your buds are fucked. That specific bud is fucked. So, and you have to take it out of the plant without trying to spread any more of that bud rot around. So yes, so you can prevent it, as we said there, by keeping the air moving with fans all the time. Don't ever leave your fans off. Like your oscillating fan in your grow room. Make sure that it's reaching all for, having numerous fans in there if you can, just to make sure all of that air keeps on fucking moving. Because if it gets stale, if it's just little stale air pockets anywhere, increases the chances of that mold spore germinating massively. And the mold spores are everywhere. It's not like, oh, one's got in and now you're fucked. They're already in there. There's already mold spores sitting on your plant. You just can't see them. And they're just sitting there like little seeds until the germination conditions reach the right levels, and then they're off. They'll start growing and dominating your plants. So they're already in there. You just don't want to give them the correct conditions for them to grow. And as we say, high humidity, stale air, and ill plants as well. I've noticed this when you start flushing your plants, I have noticed anyway, when I start flushing my cannabis plants and they start to get a little bit hungry, then the immune system starts to fade off a little bit. The plants are not so happy, and that's when I find that there's more chance of seeing bud rot at that point, when the plants get weak. So that's another thing you can do as well. Just make sure that your plants are always happy and healthy. And when you do start flushing, if you do start flushing, and we'll discuss that in a couple of weeks, then maybe there's a higher chance of you seeing it. Or maybe that's just because the buds are getting bigger. I'm not sure, but that's just what I've found from my own experience. So you say you got some on your outdoor plants, Margaret. What was the situation there? Were the plants late in flower? Was it raining too much? What was the score? What happened?
It wasn't this year. I think it was last year, the year before, but I think we just had a lot of rain.
Hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly warm summer either.
All right.
Some of the summers we've had recently, so it was just the rain combined with a lot of dampness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good.
If
It's good to
memory
find.
serves. But
Yeah, when growing outdoors, it's good to find these extra mold-resistant strains. In the UK specifically, there's one called Purple Marek, which is quite commonly grown outdoors in the UK because that's much more mold-resistant and it will finish early, so it doesn't get into them cold temperatures. Yeah, when you're growing outdoors, look for something that's a little bit more mold-resistant if you want to try and prevent that shit. So let's go over this whole process of a mold spore germinating then. So your plants are growing and the buds are getting fatter. This mold spore is just sitting there, and because the buds are getting fatter, there's it's blocking air from moving around the tent or the grow room so much, and that is going to cause the stale air pockets. And this is where the mold spore will sit there, germinate, humidity will pick up, and it will start growing and taking over the buds. And the bud itself will start to change color. It will start to lose color more than anything. That's the most common sign. Is you're going to look at a bud, it's going to look grey. It's going to look like somebody turned the color off. Remember the old school black and white TVs? Remember? So it's like it looks kind of like that. The little patch of the pixels haven't got color on them. It's you have to see it a few times before you can really I don't know, just know what it is by looking at it. So take that into consideration when you do get bud rot. Take it as like, yes, I've learned a lesson. I'm like, this is what bud rot looks like. I know now for future grows. And over a few grows, you get to recognize what it looks like. And when you do recognize what it looks like and you do notice it, it's not like you've prevented it. It's still happened, and it's just going to happen anyway. But you prevented it from spreading any further, because once it's in there, it's going to start growing. It moves so fucking quickly as well. It will devastate your whole grow over a few days if you're not careful. This shit, it's terrible, man. It's terrible. So you're looking out for these colorless patches, and also the leaves around that sign will turn yellow, and it's like the rest of the leaves around it will be a nice, healthy looking color, and there's going to be one leaf coming from the bud that is just much yellower than the others. You'll notice it. It's like, what's wrong with that guy? And then when you see that, if you do see that, then reach for that and just pull it a little bit. Just grab the tip and just give it a little tug, and if it comes away easily with no resistance, then it's probably bud rot in there at this point. And that's when you have to actually get closer to the bud and try and open it up just a little bit. Oh god, it's such a little flash of PTSD there. You open up that bud and you can see there's mold inside it. Then it's going to be white, fluffy kind of looking mold, and it's like, as soon as you see it, you're like, fuck. And it's devastating. It's especially when you first see it. I mean, it's not so bad now. If I find it on my grow now, it's shit, but it's not so bad. I know it's not the end of the world. I know it's just one bud, maybe two, that'll get lost because you catch it early, you get it out of there, and then you don't have to worry about it so much. But it's still shit to find. It's not cool, man. It doesn't devastate me as much as the first time I found it. The first time I found bud rot on my fucking plants, man, I was so panicked, didn't know what to do. Like, oh no, I got a bud rot, shit, get a bud. What am I supposed to do? You take it in with experience. So let's say that's happened to you then. You're in the grow room and you're looking at your plants. You see this dodgy yellow leaf and the bud looks a little bit colorless in this particular patch. What the fuck do you do now? What would you do, Billy, if you found a little bit? What's your standard operating procedure if you find some bud rot?
Cut the fucker off and throw it in the compost bin.
How'd you take the bud off? Did you just take the whole thing off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just cut the below the bud on the stem.
Yeah. And it's a bitch, and I've had to cut some big fucking colas
Yeah.
off before.
Yeah, same here, yeah. Yeah.
It's
You
always
like
on the big
cunt
colas
sometimes.
too. It's never on the little popcorn buds
Yeah,
or
because
anything.
that's it. This is why it's called Curse of the Big Buds. Is when the mold spore gets into the bud, that's where it can get stale air. If the bud's small, then there's still plenty of air passing by it, and it's not going to get too stale. But when it gets bigger and it's numerous buds put together, in all of those little buds, there's going to be a place where the air can't be rotated properly. So that's where the mold spores germinate. This is why sometimes it's better to have lots of smaller buds than a few fucking huge ones, because those huge ones are not only more prone to rot, but if they do get rot, it's going to ruin the whole fucking cola. So it's such a big loss. So be careful if you've got these huge buds, these cola bottle size buds. Yeah, just be careful, man. They can so easily get bud rot on them. It's horrible. What's your procedure, Margaret? If you find bud rot, what do you do?
No, I just get rid of it.
You straight chop it off, take it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw it in the bin. Done.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have a little cry.
Yeah, maybe.
I've
I've been close. I've been close.
Yeah.
Depending how many, because it could be fucking loads. Luckily,
Or
it's
how
only
big
ever a
that
couple of
cola
buds.
was.
It's never too much. Right. So what you want to do here as well, the whole purpose of the mold is it grows and it produces more spores, and it wants them spores to spread around the grow tent to grow on more fucking. This is what things do. They spread around and grow as much as possible. So if you do find bud rot, if you've gone in there, you've seen that colorless patch on the bud, and you've pulled the leaf and it's come off nice and easy, then you've checked inside the bud and seen that there's mold inside it. Fucking don't panic straight away, right? Say straight away, don't panic at all, okay? It's easy to panic. Don't panic. Try not to panic. And just take a second, go wash your hands. All right, you don't want to spread this shit around any more than you already have. So don't check that bud and then start messing around with other buds and checking, because then you're spreading fucking mold spores everywhere. So go wash your hands and go and get a pair of scissors or shears, whatever you need to cut that actual bud off, and get a plastic bag, right? And then you're gonna go into your grow tent. Sorry, but you got something to add there?
Yeah, just a lot of people have dogs. They normally have these little small poop bags.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, get one of them because they're smaller bags. You can just put that over the bud.
And if you're lucky, then that poo bag will be big enough to cover the whole bud. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes the bud is big enough for it to not fit in a fucking poo bag.
And that's when you're fucked. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah.
It hurts, man.
Yeah, same here. It does. That hurts when they're that big and you lose it. Yeah, because you've lost like an ounce of fucking weed there, pretty much.
At least half ounce.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So it's like,
man.
Bullshit, man.
But so you're gonna return back to the grow tent at this point, and you're gonna turn your fans off, and you're only gonna turn them off for a little bit, because as I said, the whole stale air thing. But as you're removing that bud, some of the mold spores are going to escape from it, so you want to just prevent them from spreading around as much as possible just by removing the air flying around the place. Turn off the fans for a few minutes, and then you're going to get the bag, you're going to put it over the infected bud, seal it. You can tape it off at the bottom if you want to. Just anything you can do to try and prevent them mold spores from getting out and spreading out all over the place. And then you're going to cut at the bottom. You don't want to cut just where the bud is, where the bud rot is, because it's probably spread throughout that whole bud. You just don't see it yet. You can inspect it after. Once it's out the tent and away from the rest of the bud, you can open it up more and check it. Put a mask on. You don't want to breathe any of that shit. And, so if you wanted to look into further detail, then, have a closer look. And it might just be a small section of that bud, and then the rest of it's okay. Yeah, just be very cautious with it. It spreads very easily. You might be able to save a large, cut away all the moldy shit. So you just got the good bud left. And you can tell by the color. You can tell if there's mold on it. Be very vigilant with that shit. And then if it is a big bud and there are parts of it that can be saved, then you might be able to dry it and use it. But it's just best, just to prevent any potential health issues, just to throw the whole fucking thing away, man. It's just a small amount of bud, really, in comparison. And it's devastating to lose it, but, it's more devastating to lose your health. You don't want to be smoking and breathing in fucking mold spores, because that can really fuck with you. Try not to do that. So it's better to just throw it away. But I've saved some before, because I've cut off big fucking buds, man. Massive buds, ounce buds. Buds that have been, ounce and a half or something. pretty fucking big with a patch of rot on it, and I've managed to save the majority of the bud. I got rid of just the moldy bit, but the mold's going to go right down to the stem. It gets to like the stem inside the bud, and the stem itself can get infected, and then anything above that is going to be dodgy as well because the mold spores are spreading through there. It's real bad, man. Get it out. You know, turn your fans off. Chop the fucking bud off. Get it out, and then wash your hands again. You want to try and prevent these mold spores passing around the tent as much as possible. The more you can do that, the better, because you don't want to see it get into the rest of your plant. Now, it depends on what stage your plant is at this point, what stage it's at, because you might be able to chop it off and then leave it for an extra week or two and let it fully finish. But if the plant is already going through senescence, you're going through the flush, and the plant is ready to harvest, maybe now is a good time to harvest. You don't want to risk any more. You're going to have a good look across the whole grow just to make sure that the mold hasn't spread to any of the other colas. And if you found one, there's a good chance you're going to find another. You know, it's very rare you just find one case of bud rot. There's usually a few buds in there that are infected. So you got to have a real close look and closely inspect everything to make sure that there's no more moldy buds in there. So if you leave them in there, it's just going to increase the chances of them spreading even more. So it's bad, man. But there's growths you go through where you don't see any. Now, there's this time of year. It's like this time of year, isn't it? The whole October time, October, November time, when the air starts to get cooler and it's a little bit more humid when the lights are on, because the difference in temperature between the outside of the grow and the inside of the grow. So that can make it really humid in there as well. So this time of year, it's more likely that you're going to see bud rot. It's like it's that time of the year, man. That's what I've noticed. You know, when it's mushroom season, it's also bud rot season. So just bear that in mind. You know, it gets into all the fucking plants at this time of year. Shocking. My most recent grow had some in it. It was a pain in the ass, but it wasn't massive. It was only a couple of buds. I managed to save the majority of it, but still lost a couple of those buds. It happens. And it's not like I say I couldn't have prevented it. I could have prevented it. I could have put more fans in my grow room. You know, it was a little bit compact in there. It's the problem with having big plants and big buds. You know, it happens, man. So, I mean, is there anything to add to that process there of getting rid of it? Would you do anything differently there, Margaret? Anything to add to make sure that it doesn't spread anymore and shit?
No, I don't think so. Just make sure you get rid of it because it will spread, like you said, and you don't want to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. Imagine finding it on all of it. Damn, imagine a whole fucking grow. I've had that before. Not the whole grow. You know, you get better at noticing it each time you get it. You know, you don't notice it until the whole bud's fucking covered it your first time. And you're like, oh shit, that looks a little bit dodgy. And then you look at it and the whole bud just falls apart when you touch it. Because that happens. You know, as the bud gets rotten, it will just fall apart. Pieces will you just touch it and little bits of bud will fall off because it's dead now. So it loses the color, it loses any kind of life. And it just starts to, when you touch it, it will just fall apart. Like when you pull on that leaf, it will come away really easily. There'll be no resistance to it because the inside of it's pretty much dead. Yeah, they just they fall off so easily, and that's one of the telltale signs. You know, you look at it first, of course, and you'll see the dullness, the lack of color, and the yellowness of the leaf. And then the next sign after that is how easy parts fall off that section of the plant. How quickly, you know, when you touch it, how easily the buds fall away, or when you give that little leaf a tug, how quickly that just comes away with no resistance. That's another clear sign. And then after that, you know, you're gonna have to actually visually see it. But if you haven't discovered it before then, you'll visually see the rot on the outside of the bud, like white fuzz, like mold growing on the outside of the bud, and that's a bad place to get to. I haven't caught bud past that point. I've caught it at that point, so I don't know what it actually looks like. If it would have caught it the next day, would it be in fucking black? Because the mold goes black eventually. Ugh.
Yeah, how quickly does it take for a mold to develop?
It's like 24 hours. Madness how quickly it goes.
Oh, really? That fast,
Yeah. Well, it's going to be inside the bud. It'll grow for a few days, maybe a week on the inside where you can't see it. But once it's up and running, then that shit spreads quickly. You know, real quick. If you noticed, like you pulled on the leaf and it came out and you haven't done anything, you leave that bud there for 24 hours, it's going to be covered in mold by the next time you go and check it. You have to get it out straight away. You don't want to leave it in there. it spreads so fucking quickly once it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's real fucking terrible.
So don't waste any time, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, it's like don't rush into it. And of course, as
Right.
well, and I say this all the time, is if you do suspect bud rot, get a second opinion as well. Don't just, unless you absolutely are for sure, like, fuck me, that's rotten. It's got white mold growing on it. And, it's got that yellow leaf. It's
Right.
falling apart easily, if you know for sure. But if you have any doubts, don't just go chopping fucking buds off. Go and get a second opinion over at percysgrowroom.com. Take a picture. Is this bud rot? Go and put it up, and we can tell you pretty quickly whether it's bud rot or not. It's better to go and check if you're unsure rather than killing perfectly healthy plants, or perfectly healthy buds. It's just it's easy to rush into things sometimes and the bud rot is the only thing where I say you have to really rush, but you don't want to rush so quickly that you make mistakes at the same time. Because, if it's bugs, if it's fucking aphids, if it's thrips or anything like that, you don't necessarily need to rush. You can wait 24 hours to get a proper diagnosis and, you don't have to fuck around. But with bud rot, you want that shit out there as quickly as possible because it's just going to spread. And there's no fixing it. If the bud gets infected with rot, there's no fixing it after that. It's completely gone. It's wasted. So it's a horrible thing to find, man. But at the same time, this is how you learn. Like you can look at all the pictures on the internet, you can get some books and look at it there, but until you actually see it in real life, you don't really know what it looks like until you've seen it. And oh god, it's fucking terrible. But, I mean, I don't know how much more there is to add to this. Really, we've explained how to. Let's just cover it all again. I mean, how to spot it again, looking out for that colorless section of bud. And you're looking out for the yellow leaf. It gets pulled away really easily if you give it a little pull, and then open up the bud to see mold, and that's a sure sign when you can actually see the mold in it. Right, and then there's preventative. You have to have moving air in your grow room at all times. When you have to have your extractor on to pull that air out. But that moving air, what I mean by moving air is you need a fan, preferably an oscillating fan, maybe even 2 or 3, depending on the size of your grow room. You want air to be able to move around that whole grow room easily. And if you don't have stale air pockets, you're far less likely to see bud rot growing. And, I say far less likely because, if you have those big-ass buds, on the inside of those buds, when they start to grow fatter and fatter, the inside, no matter how much air you're blowing at it, there's not going to be air getting to the inside of that. So you'll have stale air pockets, and there's mold spores everywhere, and those mold spores will germinate at some point if the buds get really big. So just try and make sure that you clean at all times. You don't go in there with dirty hands and start handling buds. Don't touch your buds at all. This is one of the things I used to do back in the day when you first start growing, it's easy to do. You got these big juicy flowers and you just squeeze the top of one a little bit to get some of the, and you're smelling your fingers. Oh, delicious. That's spreading mold spores onto your plants. So try not to do that. Another thing is, defoliation and shit like that, chopping things off your plant. When you're exposing the inside of the plant like that, when you're damaging the skin of the plant, a mold spore can get onto that and get into the plant and then move around on the inside of the plant to get to somewhere where it fucking feels happy, and it can germinate there as well. So just be careful with that shit. Keep any gear you're using for trimming and defoliation and shit like that. Just try and make sure that you keep all of your equipment nice and clean, just to prevent the spread of it as well, because it really it can just spread easily by just a couple of mold spores getting somewhere. It's try and keep your plant happy and healthy, which is difficult to do if you are flushing. After like day 5, day 6 of the plant getting no food, it starts to it's just not very happy. The immune system is a lot weaker, so it can't fight off any infections like that, like it would do if it was at full health. So that's another thing to bear in mind. As the flush continues and the plant gets less and less healthy, there's a chance of more bud rot then, and that's when I would more likely see it. So it's a combination of things, of the plant being unhealthy because of a flush, and the fact that it's got the big buds and it's coming to the end of its life as well. So all of those things seem to matter. Like I said, if you're at week 5 or 6 of flowering, then you're not very likely to see bud rot at that point. It's when the plant starts to get a little bit older towards senescence. I mean, you might see it if you've been careless and you haven't got the moving air in the grow room, then you might see the buds get some mold. It's very bad, man. Very bad. Yeah, so that's how to prevent it. Stale air is the biggest one for me. That's what I find. I mean, the humidity can go up to a certain level, and it can still be okay. That just improves your chances. The stale air is the one. If you've got stale air, if the air is not moving around the grow room enough, then you're very likely going to get bud rot. Keep them fans on 24 hours a day. Make sure that you're getting a good rotation of air throughout the whole grow room, and you're much, much less likely to see bud rot. Keep the plant happy and healthy. Make sure any equipment you use for defoliation or trimming or chopping bits off is always clean. Don't touch your buds, you know. And if you're in a legal place and you got friends who come around and see it, don't let them touch your buds, you know. Just keep everybody and everything away from your fucking plants, and it's less likely. It's just all about reducing the risk, because there's no way you're ever gonna 100% prevent this shit. It's gonna happen at some point. It will happen. I mean, it's rare if you take care of everything. You got the good strains, because you pick a good mold resistant strain, and you keep low humidity, and you keep the air moving all the time, and you follow all the guidelines. It's very rare to see the bud rot, but you will still get it at some point. It's inevitable. It's part of the job, for lack of a better term. It's just the way it goes, man. Bud rot happens. You just have to do what you can when you do find it to prevent it from spreading and making things worse and worse. So to be able to spot it early and get it out without it spreading even more, that's the key. You have to be able to do that. But just to reiterate there as well, any bud that you do find with mold on it, if it's got bud rot in it, then just chop it off, get fucking rid of it, man. Don't try and mess around with these things. It's not worth your health, you know?
Yeah, it's garbage. Do not smoke it. Do not consume
Unfortunately.
it.
I don't know, it's really hard to do that, especially in the early days when you've only just started growing and you don't have surplus and shit. Just you gotta throw that shit away, man. And it's difficult to throw away a bud that is nice and smells really nice, and it's got sticky trichomes on it, and it's big juicy bud, weighs about an ounce once it's dry. Like, nah, man, that's hard to throw away. But I don't know, you want to sit in hospital for a couple of weeks and with some dodgy lung infection? Probably not. So just throw the fucking bud away. Yeah. So yeah, you can't be treated. You can't be watched off, like bud watching and everything like that. It's it's just the way it goes, man. But luckily, it's not as bad as it used to be, because a lot of these strains now have been through some rigorous breeding trials, and they are mold resistant, so they are far less likely to get bud rot than, let's say, they were 25 years ago. You'd see bud rot much more often back then. I seen he said there, as a result of these beneficial activities, Bacillus subtilis can help to protect plants from bud rot and other diseases. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's lots of different things you can use to, like bacteria and things like that, but I don't know, that can sometimes cause problems too. So it's better to just keep things simple, I think. If it's your first few grows, then just keep things simple. Don't try and mess around with any of that kind of stuff. Just keep the air moving, keep the humidity as low as possible, and yeah, you'll do okay. But if you do see it, get it out there. Like, put the bag over it, seal it up, chop it off, throw it away, done. And then have a good check around the grow to make sure that there isn't any more. God damn. So is there anything else to add there, you think, about bud rot? I mean, I don't think there's much more to add. I mean, it's going to be a short grow guides here, because I think that's everything just about covered. Anything to add, do you think, Margaret?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it all.
We offer our condolences to those who have found bud rot. Yeah, what are you saying, Billy? Anything on your side? You got anything to add to this?
No, I think that's it. You covered it. I think the main issue again is just the air circulation is really important. Yeah. So and pray to the cannabis gods. Don't
pray
get
to
it.
Jar.
Yeah, Shiva and all that.
Yeah, all of them just. Yeah. It's got to help, innit?
It's not going to not help. So.
Yeah, air circulation, I find, is the biggest point. If you can just keep the air circulating and the humidity low enough, then I think you'll be okay. But still, when the buds get big, It increases the chances. So make sure you get good strain in the first place. But if you're going through the Grow Guide series and you're on episode 19, it's a little bit too late to be like, oh, I changed my strain now to to be less mold resistant. You know, that's some of the things you should consider in the first place. Yeah. What would happen if you smoked something with bud rot? I don't know. It wouldn't taste great. You know, you're going to be inhaling mold spores directly into your lungs.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it does sound
It
good,
could
man.
lead to all sort of infections and cancer. So
Yeah.
very, very advisable to not go nowhere near it.
That's right. Just stay the fuck away from it, man. Just get rid of it. It's just not worth fucking with it. You don't want to risk your health like that. And I've had it before. One of the days when I didn't grow, like way back in the day, and then I remember buying weed that tasted moldy. It tasted like a shoe, you know,
Mhm.
like a Wellington boot. It tasted
Oh,
very
nice.
fucking strange. And then I got a trichroscope on it, and I had a closer look. Yeah, and it had that's something we should cover. You know, if you do get weed and it does taste funky like that, it does taste like, I don't know, like an old shed. I don't, you know, this is musky, horrible fucking flavor to it, and just stop smoking it. Don't continue to smoke it if you're suspicious of it, and get your trichroscope out. If you have one, a microscope, and take a close look at the buds, and you'll see like it's like cotton fiber. I think just like little strands of
Yeah.
fiber.
You'll know because it just doesn't smell right and also doesn't look right.
Yeah. Would you just get ill or die? Asked Wolfie. Maybe both, mate. Maybe both. You have to be very careful. It depends on your immune system. You know, if you got any other issues with your lungs and shit like that. Yeah. Yeah, cold nighttime temperature is the enemy. That's another thing there Rodzilla put. You know, when the lights go off, the temperature changes, and that can, you know, the humidity levels inside the grow room will change then as well. So that's something to
Well,
be careful of.
when you think of it too, like most people would say, if you have mold in your house for any particular reason, like a damp basement or whatever, that can cause an incredible amount of health problems too, right? So you definitely don't want to be inhaling it directly into your lungs.
I know, right? Oh, God.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah,
Makes you cringe
yeah,
just
because
thinking about that shit.
mold is just bad no matter where it is, whether it's on your plants or in a damp corner somewhere or whatever.
No, no, it's okay if it's in like tablets as penicillin, you know?
Well, that's a little different.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Just thought, you know, cannabis is such an amazing plant. Maybe bud rot is actually like some kind of antibacterial thing. We just don't know it yet.
Right. Well,
Bud rot is
I'm
the
not
magic
gonna be
shit
that
all along, and we
gaping.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, but I'm not being a fucking guinea pig for that one.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah, so just be careful out there, everybody. Be vigilant, especially towards the end of the grow. Okay, make sure your fans are always on. And you got if you sit there and think to yourself at any point, is this enough airflow? Then it's probably not. If you're there like fucking hell, it sounds like a turbine in here. Then yeah, you're probably fine. All right, you want to make sure there's plenty of air moving around the grow room, especially at those late stages of flower there. And you know, as the plant gets bushier and if you're in the 4x4 like we've been recommending, and there's you know, the plants grow big, and it's going to be difficult for the air at the bottom to be pulled through that heavy canopy and out through the top. So you want maybe a couple of fans at the bottom there as well. I'm not pointing at the soil and shit. Point it up from the soil. You don't want to blow at the soil too much, but just make sure that there's plenty of air movement being pushed around the whole plant, around the whole tent, and just be vigilant. If you are suspicious of anything, if you see that yellow leaf or that dull bud, then take a closer look, man, and be very careful with it. You know, gosh, and I just hope you guys only ever have to listen to this episode and never have to actually use the information in this episode. You know what I mean? It's terrible to find bud rot, and it's always disheartening. But I don't know a grower yet who, you know, after a few grows, you've probably seen, you might get away with it on your first grow or something, but at some point, bud rot's going to get you. Just be ready for it. And don't use the buds after. Chuck it away. Yeah. But I think that's it. Anything to add there? I think we're done. Don't think there's any more questions there. We've got a couple of listener mail questions, so we should get to those. Let's do it. Hold on. This Bluetooth mouse turns itself off, doesn't it? When I don't use it for a few seconds.
Oh, of
But,
course it
all right.
does.
Okay, we got one from this guy on the forum. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, and this is why I say when you sign up to the forum over at postysgrowroom.com, always pick a name which like people can pronounce. Bear that in mind, because we do talk to each other over there, and we don't want to refer to you as a bunch of emojis. This isn't hieroglyphics. But this guy, S1MOLJI, so it's like Simolji or something like that. I don't know, but that guy. Welcome to the forum. Great choice of name, bro. I'm just taking the piss. We'll figure something out what to call you at some point. But this was the question. He put, thinking of switching from a 3x3 living soil bed to 4 Autopot XLs. I'm just wondering which organic nutrients and which media to use for the Autopots. I wouldn't, if I was in a 3x3 living soil bed, I don't think I would go back to 4 Autopots. I don't know why you would be heading that direction. And when it comes to organic nutrients, I don't think, you should just stick with what you're doing, in my opinion. Using organic nutrients out of a bottle. I don't think there are organic nutrients out of a bottle. I don't think that's the way it should be done. If you're growing organics, then it needs to be like top dressing things and adding bone meal and natural shit like that, in my opinion. I think any organic nutrients coming out of a bottle, that's like a Synganics kind of thing. It might say that it's organic, but I don't think it really is. But that's just me being picky, I think. But there's organic nutrients that I've used before from Advanced Nutrients, and they did the job. Guana blood, I think, was the name of some of that stuff. Stinks fucking dreadful. But the thing is, when you're using these kind of organic nutrients to improve their shelf life, they're made extra alkaline. So when you're adding it to your water, then it's changing the pH of the water quite substantially. So you have to make sure that you do check the pH of the nutrient solution before you feed it to your plants. Okay, that's what I would add there. But for organic nutrients, I wouldn't really know what to suggest. Billy, what would you suggest here? Because I know you're an organic grower. What would you say about all of this?
I would suggest he gets his mental health check done because he's using living soil, which is the best thing ever. Really, that's
Yeah,
what
but
my opinion is.
But I was using living soil for a while, and it just didn't work as well for me as cocoa does. So I went back to cocoa. But if the living soil is working for you, then just try and stick with it. And if you're having trouble and that's why you want to move, then just go and ask over on Percy'sGrowroom.com, and you can get advice from other people who grow living soil, and they'll be able to advise you on what to top dress and when, and that will keep the 3x3 living soil bed nice and happy. But I'm not in a position where I can have a soil bed. I had to use pots and living soil, and I just shit it. I didn't put the time into it that was necessary. So I just went back to cocoa because I know how to grow really easily in cocoa, and I produce nice plants and big plants that I'm happy with. So I went back to cocoa. But realistically, if I was a better grower in soil, then I'd still be in the living soil bed there for sure. What do you think, Margaret? What do you think about this one?
I mean, I guess the question would be, why are you switching why are they thinking of switching? Because they may have really good reasons, but if I'm being completely honest, what's an Autopot XL?
It's a
I
large
think that's the
auto
fabric
pot.
pots, right? Yeah.
Oh, it's just a pot.
Yeah, Autopots.
Like a large.
They're fabric pots, right?
I don't know.
That's the
I'm asking.
auto watering system, isn't it?
They're sips. They're sip containers. Sip pots.
So you'd have to get him to establish what he actually means as well.
Yeah, sub irrigation pots. Is that what they are?
So they'd be like some kind of pot where they're auto watered, like automatically.
Yeah, like water from the bottom.
Oh.
That's what that usually means. Yeah.
Could you not just use living soil in the pots, or are the pots not going to be big enough?
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't if you're using living soil or super soil, you need to use like 5-gallon pots, so they're all pretty big because you want
At a
to have
minimum,
enough for for the bacteria and stuff to be happy.
Yeah.
In a medium that size, and to make sure it has enough nutrients in it as well. Auto pots, from what I know, because there's so many different names for all these different kind of pots, and I know auto pots as fabric pots. I don't know why they were called that back in the day, but that's what I've always known them as. And they're just standard fabric pots,
Yeah, like with the handles or whatever.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right. Yeah, those ones.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess my only advice would be to like they say they're thinking of switching from the living soil bed to the auto pots, but I mean, maybe they just need to figure out why they're thinking of switching before
Yeah.
they make a switch. Like
Mhm.
what's troubling you now that you think will be improved by switching?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that might help you decide whether or not it's worth switching over or not.
Yeah, it's rather why do you want to switch to, which
Yeah.
is the main the main
Yeah.
question.
And
Yeah.
if you're having problems, then it's probably easily fixable just by using dry amendments and applying them at the right time, at the right amounts and things like that. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's better to try and stick with, in my opinion, and I think Billy agrees as well, just sticking with the living soil and trying to make that work. If you can stick with that, then that's going to be a good option for you, because that is probably the best way to grow for most people. But if it isn't working out, then yeah, maybe you want to go to the pots. But it could be you're watering too much, you're not amending at the right time. It's just going to be some simple things that you could figure out and continue in the 3x3 living soil bed completely happily. Just a few little things that you have to figure out. So you might just need that help there. But if you want to move to the 4 pots and use organic nutrients, I think I don't know, with organic nutrients, it needs to be broken down and be made plant available by bacteria and microbes in the medium as well. So if you're gonna go into separate pots like that, then it might just be better to just use some salt-based nutrients, just what normal soil growers would use. Whichever's gonna work best for you.
I would
That's what I
say
find.
just write a big thread and explaining what you're thinking completely, why you want to change and what you are. Just explaining the whole thing, all
Yeah.
your mind thinking, I want to change for this reason, and then write a big thing, and then
More information is needed. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, good question all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
create a
everybody needs to,
discussion.
yeah, that's it. And don't make the thread too long because, TLDR and all of that, too long didn't read. It's a real thing now. If you make if you make a post too long, people are not going to read it. So just give us as much detail as necessary, and we can try and figure out what's the best way for you guys to move forward. Yeah. Right. Okay. So we have one more question here, and this one's for Margaret really, and this was put in the Discord. It wasn't part of the list of mail questions, but I thought it was a good question to bring here anyway, because we covered edibles last week. So we have this from Royo Moto. He said, I just made my first batch of cookies. Congratulations. I hope they're tasty as fuck.
Ooh, I
Uh,
approve.
my tea check doohickey, I don't know what brand that is, says my butter was 7 milligrams per milliliter, making my cookies approximately 29.5 milligrams. I like the way he says approximately and then gives a precise measurement. Approximately 29.5 milligrams per cookie. My question is that weak, strong, or average? I don't usually eat edibles, so I have very little experience, but I didn't want to waste the stuff I used to make the butter. What do you think about that, Margaret? This is your level of expertise.
Yeah, I would say 29, like 30 milligrams a cookie. That's moderate, in my opinion.
Okay.
A weak, strong average. It's so hard to say, because what one person find, like for me, 30 milligrams, that would be quite nice. For other
Yeah.
people, that would
For
send them to
me,
the,
I'm like, oof. 30
yeah.
milligrams. Let me go for a 10 minute. Let me eat a third of that cookie and see how I feel.
And then I was talking to somebody yesterday and they're like, I can eat 1200 milligrams. And I'm like, well,
Oof.
that would make me really sick. So it just really, like, the spectrum is so huge.
Mm.
So I would say that it's like overall, it's probably moderate, average, but I don't even want to say average because that's just not, yeah.
Eat
Yeah.
half a cookie, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eat
Eat
half a
half.
cookie and
See
yeah.
how you feel after an hour.
I'd say even a quarter cookie if you think they're 30
Mm.
milligrams. I mean, there's a lot of people who can get pretty fucked up off of 5 or 10 milligrams.
Yeah.
And it has
So
nothing to do with your tolerance to smoking either. Like they are completely separate things because a lot of people go into it being like, I smoke a shit ton of weed and I do dabs all day long and blah, 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 but they're completely unrelated. You have a really high tolerance to smoking weed and have like a really small tolerance to edibles.
yeah. When I
It's
used
just
to
bio.
smoke a lot, edibles used to kick the shit out of me, and now I don't smoke very much at all. So I
Right.
dread to think what edibles would do to me.
Yeah. They probably still kick the shit out of you.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
yeah.
Probably just take some mushrooms. It's less harsh.
Yeah.
It's strange. Fucking hell. But I
Yeah. So I would
recommend Royal Moto
say,
go and check out our last episode about edibles. That will give you some
yeah,
insight on this shit as well. But sorry, Marky, you
because
were saying
I
something.
would say 30 milligrams is not a weak dose by any means.
Hmm.
And for a lot of people, it's not strong, but it's somewhere in the middle. But again, the range is so huge that, yeah,
Yeah.
what's one person's dose is another person's poison,
That's
whatever
right.
they
And this
say.
is why we recommend you go to Amazon and you search for Margaret's book. What's your how would they find your book, Margaret? Your
It's the
edibles
Bite Me
journal.
Edibles Journal.
Right. Search for that.
Yeah.
And then, when that arrives, you'll be able to write down how much you've taken of what dosage, and you can do a diary for a while so you can try and get a good idea of what dosage is working well for you. That's the best thing to do. It's going to take
Yeah.
it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out what your levels are and what works best for you because it's different for every person. Definitely give that a shot. I mean, you got the T check because that's going to help you try and find the
Yeah.
right dosage of things. So that's going to help to some extent, but you don't know how much dosage you need,
Right. Yeah.
Tough one.
Yeah, it is tricky, but I'm happy to hear that they're making edibles with what's something that they would probably otherwise be disposing of. So
Yeah, for sure, man.
great way to use that stuff up. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's delicious. But start slow, go slow. No, start low, go slow. That's the saying, isn't it? And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
Which
good
is
advice,
excellent
man.
advice.
Yeah.
Yes. No one ever regrets that. But people
But
do regret
yeah,
doing the opposite.
people do regret eating 4 of those cookies, don't they,
Yeah.
Margaret?
Yes, they do. Yes,
Indeed.
they do. I mean, I'm laughing about it now, but at the time I was definitely not laughing. To tell you that. I was not laughing at all.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the questions we have there. So yeah, just to finish that one off, get one of those journals and just take a quarter of that cookie, see how you feel after an hour, and do that a few times so you can find the right balance until it gets too much. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions. That's everything we have to say about bud rot. So I think that's the grow guides for this week. Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
No, Billy, you good?
Yeah, all good.
Sweet then. Let's go to the outro. So there we go. Short grow guides this week. Usually we go for about an hour, but this was only about bud rot, and there's not really a lot to cover there. So, we wouldn't have been able to go into much more detail than that. I just hope everything was covered there. And if you do have any questions, just head over to percysgrowroom.com. Ask any question you like, we'll be able to get some help to you over there. And as we said as well, if you do suspect bud rot, but you're not entirely sure, if you're sure, which it's quite easy to be sure, it's pretty obvious if a bud is fucking moldy. But if you do have any questions, if you're unsure about it and you need a second opinion, then head over to percysgrowroom.com and start a thread, take a picture. It's all free. You don't have to pay anything. So just fire up a thread, put the picture up there, or you can head over to Discord. If you're already on Discord, just click the link in the description, head over to Discord and put a picture up there. We'll be able to help you out there as well. So, yeah, man. Good luck. I hope you don't find any, but if you do, that's how you deal with it. Yes. Good episode. Good news stories. Good grow guides. What should we cover next week? What do you think? Any suggestions? I mean, I think we should
something cannabis related. I
I
assume.
think that would be a good idea. Let's talk about something cannabis related next week. I think we'll start discussing how to identify when your plant's coming to an end. How to check trichomes and things like that. What all that kind of shit means. Because that will be happening for people following this kind of guide very soon. We want people to be able to check and see when their plants are getting ready. I think week after that we'll cover flushing. I don't know, just trying to make it useful to those guys who are going to be following the guide week by week, Yeah. Sweet. Well, that's everything. I don't think there's anything to add here. Yeah, head over to the Discord server. We've been doing this thing this week on the Discord server. where we're going in the smoking lounge and your microphone's on. You can have conversations with people. It's open 24/7. So if anybody is on Discord and they want to just have a conversation about cannabis with people, then head into the smokers lounge. And in there's games we can play. I've been kicking everybody's ass at Scrabble this week. Yes, isn't that right, John? Billy? That's right.
Yeah,
also kick Billy's ass at chess. Yeah, and there's another game we're playing as well, that Land.io. There's some nice random games out there that you can just play on Discord. And it's been fun. We just sit in there, get a little bit high, play some games. Yeah, it's very cool. So
chat
come
shit.
and join us over there. Yeah, chat shit, as we do. So if you are free and you want to just come and chill and chat some shit for a couple of hours, head over to the Discord server. It's a nice feature. You just play some games. But often people will go over there and it will be empty, so they won't join it. But that's not the way to do it. It's like if you want to chat, then jump in there, and then people will see that there's somebody in there, and then they'll join as well. It's very rare people would like to join an empty room. But, start the Mexican wave, man. That could be you. Sit in the room, and somebody will join, hopefully. It's good fun as well. I like it. But that's it for this week.
There is one thing to mention, though, because it's Flanders Field Day today. It's actually 249 years since the formation of the United States Marines on the November the 10th in 1775.
Oh,
yep.
Random fact of the week. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, nice. And again, yeah, lest we forget and all that, everybody. We wouldn't be here doing the things that we do without those guys who sacrificed everything. Poor bastards.
Respect.
Yeah, for sure, man. Respect. Different times. I'm glad we don't have to do that anymore. Stay high and stay safe, everybody. Enjoy your week, and yeah, keep an eye out for bud rot. Don't smoke it if you
wave in and all that shit.
Yeah, let's wave, everybody. See you on the next one. Seems earlier than usual, doesn't it? Let's say goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.